Rosemary's Baby, Saturday night at 11.
There is a fear that is unlike all other fears. It has a special clammy chill, a deadly gift for inspiring deeper, darker dread. It is the fear of unopened doors, of locked rooms, of bends in lonely roads. It is the fear of the phone call in the dead of the night, of the stranger you recognize, perhaps from a nightmare. It is the fear of the unexpected, the unfamiliar. It is the fear of the unknown. That await you in the depths of the unknown. And no switch of time, no twist of plan can cancel your meeting with it. For some night, in some blind panic, you will venture into the world of dark reality. And on that night, you will keep your rendezvous with the unknown.
Turned out the lights, and what time is it? What's going on here? Is that your need?
It's hard to...
Or mine? It's mine, and it's Halloween time!
That's right. It's Halloween time. PodBlast style. I am your host, Chance Bartels.
We got a good one for you today!
As Steve Harvey would say.
770-438-1050 is the number.
We're here to talk nostalgic Halloween treats. What's your favorite Halloween movie or TV special? What was your favorite Halloween prank you pulled? Legal or illegal? What's your favorite Halloween party you ever attended or costume? What are your favorite Halloween family traditions? And I'll ask you this question. Have you ever seen a dead body? Have you ever seen a dead body? I'm not talking about in a casket at a funeral. I just mean in your entire life, when you're a child, an adult, have you ever seen a dead body? Later, I'll share a tale with you because I have seen a dead body when I was 13 years old. It was freaky as hell. Got a great story to share with you, and I want to hear yours. 770-438-1050. As we're live, it's the middle of the night for scheduling reasons, and also I wanted it to be dark for my jack-o'-lantern is lit. Anyone that's listening at fistfulofradio.com, radio, or on Apple or any of the great podcast platforms you can hear this program, like tune in. This is the Nostalgic PodBlast. I would direct you to the YouTube channel, The Nostalgic with a C PodBlast, or the Facebook group called The Nostalgic PodBlast. So you can see all the visual aids I have. This is a one-camera operation by design. I want this to look like an old 1980s camcorder. But I do have some interesting stories to share with you and some artifacts to show you. So again, here's some of the topics. Like I said, what's your favorite Halloween candy? What's your favorite Halloween costume? Your favorite party you attended? Your favorite Halloween television episode, movie, novelty song? And again, have you ever seen a dead body? Call in with it, 770-438-1050. I've got a Ouija board story for you that can't be topped. So, we got a big show for you today. A Halloween 2023 show. Yes, I know it's Halloween 2022, but people could listen to this in 2023, so I'm projecting ahead. So in that opening, you heard some audio, some pretty spooky audio. I want to explain what that was. That was from a rare piece of film, which was the opening to an unsold spin-off pilot of the old show The Outer Limits. Not the one from Showtime Cable in 1995, that started in 95, but the original on ABC TV from 1963 to 1965. Well, that was an unsold spin-off of The Outer Limits, which was a big hit in its first year in the 1963 to 1964 television season. So towards the end of that maiden season, a pilot was produced titled The Unknown. And it was going to be a horror anthology. The Outer Limits was a science fiction themed anthology show. Anthology, of course, means a different story, different actors every week. It's not a regular cast, except for the control voice, which is voiced by Vic Perrin. And you had that great music by a composer named Dominique Frontiere, who scored movies, television shows. He scored a lot of Quinn Martin stuff, like 12 O'Clock High, the television show based on the World War II set movie. That's what the action was during World War II in 12 O'Clock High. And he left The Outer Limits to do 12 O'Clock High on ABC TV for Quinn Martin in the 1964 to 1965 season, but I digress. So that was a spinoff, The Unknown. Now, when it wasn't picked up, it was repackaged and re-edited as a regular episode of The Outer Limits, retitled The Form of Things Unknown, a very spooky story where this a-hole is murdered by two women, this guy Andre, and they poison him. And they encounter this wealthy guy and his servant, but what they don't know is this guy in the house has experimented with time travel, and he can bring people back from the dead, and he accidentally brings back in an experiment, unknowing that he's a murderer, this guy Andre. Anyway, that was the premise for The Unknown. And even some of that narrator's lines, if you play back the beginning of this show and listen to it again, you'll hear some lines that were rehashed for another show down the line in the 1960s titled The Invaders, where they used that same music from Dominique Frontiere, who did score some episodes of The Invaders just the first 4 episodes of that show, which was another Quinn Martin show. They reused that music from The Unknown and a rip effect. If you heard that annoying sound, it's even more annoying than my voice. But it sounds like nails on a chalkboard, or it sounds like someone like with wet hands on an inflated balloon. And what that sound effect was, in fact, that probably was how they designed that sound back in 1964. But it was supposed to go with, and I wish I could show you visually, a rip effect in the opening titles, which the Invaders also picked up and used when they go to commercial break. You'd see this tearing effect. It was a very unique, I've never seen it in any show since the Invaders, and only in The Unknown, in the pilot, unsold pilot version, they had this cool effect of ripping. And so that sound effect accompanied that ripping visual effect. So when it was recut for The Outer Limits, it aired on Monday, May 4th, 1964, as the season 1 finale of The Outer Limits. And you heard some of the narration there talking about lonely roads, and they actually use that in the Invaders opening, lonely country roads. I want to play a little bit of the Invaders opening, actually the entire Invaders opening. It's only a minute and a half long, so you could compare and hear how they reuse that music. And then we're going to talk about some other Halloween stuff and things of interest, and I've got some good stories to share with you. Let me find that for you now. Yeah, it's right here. What the hell is that? Now here's the original opening to The Invaders.
Next, The Invaders in color. The Invaders. A Quinn Martin production. Starring Roy Finnis as architect David Vincent.
Before Mike Brady, architect Mike Brady and the Brady Bunch.
The Invaders. Alien beings from a dying planet. Their destination, the Earth. Their purpose, to make it their world. David Vincent has seen them. For him, it began one lost night on a lonely country road looking for a shortcut that he never found. It began with a closed, deserted diner and a man too long without sleep to continue his journey. It began with the landing of a craft from another galaxy. Now, David Vincent knows that the Invaders are here, that they have taken human form. Somehow he must convince a disbelieving world that the nightmare has already begun.
The guest stars in tonight's story: Jack Lord, Alfred Ryder, and special guest star Diana Hyland. Tonight's episode, Vicar.
Brought to you by Ford Motor Company. Now, you heard a lot of good guest stars there. Jack Lord, the next season, actually, I think 2 seasons. This was in the 1966-67 tail end of that season. So it was right before the start of Hawaii Five-0 that he was in from 1968 to 1980. Diana Hyland, she died of cancer, sadly, in 1977 in John Travolta's arms. And she was in 8 is Enough as the mom, Joan Bradford. And she'd filmed just about a handful of episodes, I think 5 episodes, before she fell to her death from cancer, sadly. And then Alfred Ryder, he played a recurring alien leader in The Invaders, and that was his first episode, Vicar, V-I-K-O-R. It sounded almost like a racial slur by the announcer there, William Woodson. And he was the announcer later for The Odd Couple, if that voice sounded familiar. William Conrad narrated The Fugitive. He had a better voice, but I like William Woodson. And the guy that announced the guest stars is an announcer rather, not an actor. He was an announcer. I think he acted a little bit, but he was more known for his voice. Dick Wesson, like Wesson Oil. So he was a separate voice that would do all the Quinn Martin shows even into the 70s, like, what's the one with Buddy Ebsen and, God, I'm having a brain fart. Buddy Ebsen and Lee Merriweather. It's on MeTV, like 3 in the morning. Not Hillary Queen. That's not it. Anyway, I want to tell you about the Invaders, and we'll move on. I got to move along. We're going to talk about the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown special, and a lot of Halloween stuff. It's a music history, and then my story of my encounter with a dead body. And I want to hear yours, too. Leave it in comments if you don't want to call in. Most people are asleep. It's 2 a.m. as I'm live right now because of scheduling reasons. Had a lot of stuff going on this weekend, a lot of sports, a lot of activities out of the home. So that's why I'm doing this at this ungodly hour. Plus, I want to get this Halloween show out there before it's actually Halloween. So the Invaders. That Quinn Martin show lasted for only a season and a half. It started as a winter replacement series in the second half of the 1966 to 1967 TV season on ABC television network, the American Broadcasting Company, and the debut episode aired on January 10th, 1967. The last time that the Invaders aired on ABC in prime time was on Tuesday, September 17th, 1968, which was a rerun. 43 episodes were produced, always airing on Tuesday night, usually at 8:30 to 9:30 when it started on January 10th, 1967, until January of 1968 when ABC moved it, still on Tuesday night, up to 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. from January to September 1968. Now, that first year, the reason they moved it, it was up against a ratings powerhouse, the Red Skelton Hour on CBS, which was the number 2 rated show that season, 1966 to 1967. And it was also up against the second half of the Jerry Lewis Show on NBC and the first hour of the NBC Tuesday Night Movie. So when ABC moved The Invaders to 10 p.m. Tuesdays in January 1968, it was up against the CBS News Hour / 60 Minutes. It was the original 60 Minutes, which was very popular with viewers, and then the second half of the NBC Tuesday Night at the Movies. And by the way, the NBC Tuesday Night at the Movies at that time was in 20th place in the Nielsen rating, so it was in the top 20, so that's not too shabby. But that said, the Invaders always kicked the ratings ass of the original Star Trek. Star Trek never even cracked the top 25. I don't think it even was in the top 50. But of course, in syndication, people discovered Star Trek, and the rest is history. So, item. The animated Halloween classic, it's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, premiered on CBS on Tuesday, October 27th, 1966. The Columbia Broadcasting System, that's what CBS stands for. And this primetime animated television special, of course, was based on the beloved comic strip and the Sunday Funnies, I can't talk, by Charles M. Schulz. Now, recently, back in 2018, not too long ago, Apple bought the rights to all of the Peanuts. Hear me clearly. It sounds like I'm talking about the medical term for male anatomy. No, Peanuts. We all know Peanuts. We all know Snoopy. Apple bought the rights in 2018 to the Peanuts primetime animated classic specials, Christmas, Halloween, all of them. And these specials are now, since 2020, exclusively on their Apple TV paid streaming service. Except for back during the COVID lockdowns, PBS did air the classic, The Great Pumpkin. It's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And many fans of the Peanuts gang voiced and posted many colorful words towards the Apple CEO, Mr. Tim Cook, who has been in that position as CEO of Apple since 2011 after the sad death of Steve Jobs. Now, since I can't play the actual special because the bots will get me and it's heavily copyrighted and Apple paid big money. Same with the Beatles. If you play on social media a Beatles song, an Elvis song, God, and who else sold out recently? Bob Dylan, and many others. Many other just great artists have sold the rights to their music. And hell, I do the same too. Paul McCartney, to commercial ventures and exclusive XM channels. And when they do that, you better believe they're going to protect their intellectual property. So I can't play any clips, but you've seen it. You love it. I love it. I watch it almost every year whenever I can. The key is to buy it. If you don't have Apple TV, just buy the Blu-ray or DVD. Problem solved. I know that that's dying technology. Hell, laptops, MacBooks no longer support or play DVDs, and I don't think they ever played Blu-rays. No, they always played DVDs. Well, they don't even manufacture a little slide for those discs anymore, so it's kind of sad. You know, I mean, it's technology. Are we moving forward or are we moving back? That is a philosophical question for each of us to answer when it comes to technology. I mean, back in the day, you had a TV guide and you had that annual special, the Halloween or holiday special, Christmas special and the like, and families would gather together and watch that. You had one shot at it. I mean, we're going back to like the 60s, before the VHS, before the Betamax, certainly before streaming. If you didn't watch it then, you didn't see it that year. How times have changed. But since I can't play the actual special, here is an original 1966 CBS commercial announcing the premiere of this classic special. And this clip's about 1 minute long. Let me get it for you now. I'm live, folks, so if I'm stumbling and bumbling, that's why. But I got the clip right here. Let's see. Why am I talking like an idiot? Here it is. Enjoy.
Dear Great Pumpkin, I'm looking forward to your arrival on Halloween night. I hope you will bring me lots of presents.
They're back. All the Little Peanuts characters in a happy Halloween special that's filled with delightful, heartwarming adventures from their wonderful cartoon world. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And here's Linus to tell you more about it.
On Halloween night, the Great Pumpkin rises out of his pumpkin patch and flies through the air with his bag of toys for all the children.
While Linus waits for the Great Pumpkin, ghosts and goblins, witches and owls make the scene, with Charlie Brown and his Peanuts playmates off on a haunting spree that's filled with surprises. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, in color.
Ooh, in color. On CBS. Great. Now, got another quick clip to play you from that special. In a way, this was the Coca-Cola sponsor, and it would show in the pumpkin patch like little mini billboards of different products like Dolly Madison Bakery, Coca-Cola, but there was some neat spooky music, cute spooky music. Let's listen to this real quick, and this is very brief. I think it's just 38 seconds. For the folks who bake, Dolly Madison Cakes is what the sign says. And there's Snoopy jumping for joy atop a giant pumpkin. So cute. One other little quick one, and this is like a 1980s ad for Dolly Madison, and this is a sponsor on the network on CBS for the Great Pumpkin. Charlie Brown, let me get that for you now. Yeah, here it is. And you'll hear some of that same music, just the tail end of it. You see ghosts jumping around in the pumpkin patch.
Who put golden chunks of apple in a pie that's packed to go?
Dolly did it.
Who put juicy red cherries in a neat-to-eat treat? Who put a creamy chocolate filling in this great little pie?
Is this a test?
Nah, everyone knows it's Dolly Madison who makes delicious packed-to-go pies. Cherry, apple, and chocolate, all with flaky golden crusts. Dolly Madison did it.
Everybody knows that. Just give me the facts. Every time I try to enjoy a zinger, it gets zapped. See? I didn't see anything. Describe the alleged zingers. Well, there's devil's food with chocolate icing, gold cake with creamy vanilla, raspberry with coconut, all with cream centers. It's your imagination, Charlie Brown. There's no zinger zapper. See?
When you have zingers around, there's no escaping the zinger zapper.
All right, I better stop it. The bots will get me. Anyway, so that's how it sounded. And we all love that special. It's just a classic. Gotta love the Peanuts gang. Item. Oh man, I want to tell everyone about a very special deal. If you're here, the chances are you like nostalgia. Well, there's a monthly magazine that's been around since 2013 I want to tell you about called Remind Magazine, which is loaded with interesting articles, games, full-color photos, interviews with your favorite stars and personalities, and more. Remind Magazine offers fresh takes on popular entertainment from days gone by. Each issue has dozens of brain-teasing puzzles, trivia quizzes, classic comics, and monthly themed features from the 1950s through the 1990s. The best part is it comes to you in the mail, old school, classic, each and every month, just like the good old days when you'd wait for your favorite mag to arrive in the mail, like Dynamite Magazine, which I'll show later. I've been buying up Dynamite Magazine collections. I just like the covers. It's very nostalgic. But remember those magazines like National Geographic's World Magazine, and certainly comic book subscriptions, Boys Life magazines. You get the point. Well, Remind Magazine is not written for kids like those magazines were. Remind is written for adults on an adult level while gently tapping your inner child. Your entire family will love it, and right now there is a limited offer where you can receive Remind Magazine for only $1 per issue. That's just $12 for an entire year. Not $12 a month for a streaming service, for instance, but $12 for the entire year. I mean, what can you buy for $1 anymore? Even in the dollar stores, a candy bar is like $1.25. Not for the giant size, just for a regular Snickers bar. What can you get for $1? You can't get much of anything anymore for $1. And let me tell you, when you give this as a birthday gift, not only will your gift recipient think of you all year long, each and every month, but they'll think that you spent a lot more than just $12. And there's no tax on it either. It's great. And it's easy to order. You can order online or old school through the phone. I'll give you that phone number. It's 855-773-6463. That's 855-773-6463. Or just go to remindmagazine.com. An order specialist will assist you in processing your subscription. And please mention the Nostalgic PodBlast when you order to get this deal. $12 a year. And actually, they offer that to everybody. That's just a way I can get credit for it. So thank you. All right, back to this latest edition of the Nostalgic PodBlast, Halloween 2023, as I call it. We're going to get back to the Halloween stuff, but I want to just give a couple music history notes that were recent. These are kind of in our rearview mirror, but not too far back. If you go to the Nostalgic PodBlast Facebook group, you'll see some of these articles that we've posted there and that I've posted there. We're also on Twitter, but we're more active, and I'm more active on the Facebook, in the Facebook group, because I have more flexibility in terms of writing and sharing stories and articles. And Twitter's not really doing much for the growth of the show. Maybe I suck at tweeting. I don't know. So focusing on Facebook, and they say people are leaving Facebook in drones. I don't see it. In droves, I just don't see it. Well, let's get with the music history as I stumble on my words. Okay, over 41 years ago on Monday, October 26th, 1981, I love this song. Queen and David Bowie released the single Under Pressure in the United Kingdom. It was released in the USA the very next day on Tuesday, October 27th, 1981. And man, it's been sampled over the years several times by other artists. Just like the Knight Rider theme song by Stu Phillips, that's been sampled in rap songs and other pop songs. But Under Pressure, I can't talk. Under Pressure was sampled by Vanilla Ice for his 1990 single, Ice Ice Baby. Remember that? And Vanilla Ice initially did not credit David Bowie or Queen for sampling their music, resulting in a lawsuit which gave Bowie and Queen songwriting credit. Gonna play the song. This is a live version I think I can get away with. Let's play a live. I'm not going to play the version from Live Aid 1985. And David Bowie is not in this. This is from 1981. David Bowie is not performing in this clip. This is Queen in 1981 when the song was fresh. It was on the album Hot Space. There's only one or two other good songs, in my opinion, on that album, Hot Space. And certainly Under Pressure was one of them. like Body Language, which was kind of a silly song. But let's listen to this performance live. This is Queen in concert, 1981. Okay.
Tripping around with my brains on the floor. These are the days that never race, but it calls. People on the streets. People on the streets. It's the terror of knowing what this world is about. Watching some good friends screaming, let me out. It's tomorrow, let's get higher. Turn away from it all like a blind man. Set on a face, but it don't work. Keep coming up with love, but it's just last and tall. Insanity laughs under pressure. We're crying, can't we give ourselves one more chance? Why can't we give love that one more chance? Why can't we give love, 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 give love? 'Cause love's such an old-fashioned word, and love dares you to care for the people on the edge of the night, and love dares you to change our way of caring about ourselves. This is our last dance. This is our last dance. This is ourselves. Under pressure. Under pressure. Pressure.
Yeah! Yeah! God, I love Queen. Let's see. That's just a classic. Got a couple other music notes. Oh, and also Queen performed Under Pressure on Saturday Night Live back on September 25th, 1982. God, I can't believe that's been over 40 years. And that was the band's only appearance on Saturday Night Live ever on NBC, including the great Freddie Mercury. So let's see here. Oh, here's another musical note. Let me find something for you real quick. Yeah, here we go. The classic Prince album 1999 was released over 40 years ago on Wednesday, October 27th, 1982. That was Prince's 5th album. Now, I can't play anything from that album right now, but I can play this. Dig the funk in this. This is by an artist named Neil Norman. Neil. Neil Norman. Man, that's the theme to Space 1999. Get it? Prince 1999. Okay, and I had on camera, if you're listening and you didn't see this, obviously, a Dinky toy eagle. Dinky was a metallic and plastic toy manufacturing company, and they did all sorts of cool toys back when I was a kid. I'm old as dirt. Old as dirt. Item. Let's get back to the Halloween stuff now. What was a good Halloween prank that you pulled off? Well, I'll tell you one about mine real quick. When we were in middle school, we, meaning two friends and I, at night, we rolled East Side Elementary School. And we rolled it bad with toilet paper. I mean, horrendously bad. We used so much toilet paper that we hoarded and hid in anticipation of Halloween night. And the cops patrolling the area saw our roll job and began to search for us in the Indian Hills neighborhood, which is located in East Cobb County in the state of Georgia. And we got away. We got away with that roll job. How about you? Leave a comment or call in at 770-438-1050. We're live on Facebook in the Nostalgic PodBlast group, and we're going to do this again tomorrow, but live on YouTube and the YouTube channel, The Nostalgic PodBlast. This entire show, I'm going to add some new stuff, but I'm going to do this whole show during a reasonable time on Sunday, the day before Halloween, right as it gets dark. Because for the visual effect of my lit jack-o'-lantern, I need it to be nighttime. Anyway, what about your story? What was a prank that you pulled on Halloween? I don't care how bad it is. Leave a comment, and I'll read them tomorrow on YouTube Live. It's the middle of the night right now due to weekend plans, as I said earlier, so I don't expect any calls, but if you're awake, I'm right here with you to chat. 770-438-1050. Let's talk Halloween candy, Halloween memories, favorite costumes. For me, my favorite costume was dressing up as the Incredible Hulk. I did it twice, once in 5th grade and once in high school. And I used, the second time I used food coloring, which took days, if not weeks, to get off of your skin, your epidermis. It just sunk in deep into your skin pores, man. It was a bitch to get that off my skin. That was my favorite costume, dressing up as the Incredible Hulk with torn jeans, torn clothes. But I'm a wimp. I mean, I'm short and I'm a wimp. I made a very weak Incredible Hulk. But I remember in high school they had a costume contest that I won. Big whoop. The prize was just a damn plastic jack-o'-lantern filled with candy like you're a damn kid or something. You know, I was like 17 at the time. But it was all based on audience reaction. We're in the gymnasium, and I was up against a guy dressed as RoboCop, based on the Peter Weller movie. He starred as RoboCop, as you may recall, 1987. A very violent movie that was originally rated NC-17 for the violence. They had to trim it down. I remember on Laserdisc, if you know what Laserdisc is, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't, look it up. Do a Google search on Laserdisc. I have some behind me, but you can't see because it's so dimly lit. But there was a special Laserdisc released of the NC-17 version of RoboCop, and especially in the beginning scene where this guy's mowed down, where a demonstration of a robot cop is going on, and it goes awry, and this guy's just blown to hell, and there's blood and guts flying around. That was one of the scenes that they had to tone down to receive an R rating. But anyway, I digress. So the audience reaction. So I show up, when they announce the contestants, I show up as a Hulk, and I'm going, I'm really hamming it up. And I tell you, the African Americans really helped me win that contest. They reacted. They're like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." This was like this is like the Arsenio Hall. Ooh, 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 ooh. That's what I'm trying to do. Ooh, ooh. I mean, they made that kind of noise, and it was right before Arsenio Hall. Like I said, I'm old. And they just hooped it up, and I won that contest. It's not a highlight of my life, folks, my sad life. No, I'm just saying. All right, but right now we got to get serious for a little bit and acknowledge this. And speaking of the Hulk, I like to use the end title music to the old Hulk show because it just fits my in memoriam segment. I just have 3, maybe 4 I want to share with you, and it's very serious. Let me play this for you now. We're going to acknowledge some people that passed away in different categories of pop culture history. Got to start with music. The music world. This was a Tanya Roberts situation where it was announced in the media that this man was dead. Then it was retracted that very day, and then a couple days later, it was announced he was dead after all. We're talking about Jerry Lee Lewis, the influential rock and roll pioneer, died at the age of 87. He was known as the Killer, quote unquote. And this is from Rolling Stone magazine. I'm going to read a little quick article for you now. The Killer, Jerry Lee Lewis, embodied rock rebellion with songs like Whole Lot of Shaking Going On and Great Balls of Fire. But he drew widespread outrage for marrying his 13-year-old cousin in 1957. Wow. Jerry Lee Lewis, whose hammering boogie-woogie piano unleashed Tomcat voice and unapologetic bad boy persona, made him an architect of rock and roll in an early revival of Elvis Presley. Jerry Lee Lewis's publicist confirmed his death to Rolling Stone magazine and rollingstone.com, but a cause of death was not immediately available. He was 87. Of course, it's natural causes, I'm sure. Maybe a stroke, who knows, but, hey, that's a good long run. Jerry Lee Lewis died at his home in DeSoto County, Mississippi, with his 7th wife, Judith, by his side. Lewis's 2 1957 singles, Whole Lot of Shaking Going On and Great Balls of Fire, were some of rock's earliest and most primal hits. He's the best rock and roll pianist ever, Elton John said in 2007. I couldn't play like him because he's too fast. Offstage, Jerry Lee Lewis personified the perceived dangers of rock music. I'm the toughest son of a bitch that ever shat out of a meat ass, Jerry Lee Lewis bragged to Rolling Stone in 1979. Throughout much of his life, he fought addictions to alcohol and pills, once accidentally shot a member of his band, and famously burned a piano on stage when he was asked to play before the headliner Chuck Berry. Burned it to the ground, Lewis said in 1979. I was supposed to be the star of the damn show, he said. Actually, he said, I was supposed to be the star of the show. He didn't say damn, I added that, sorry. But it was a notorious scandal that killed his career, at least momentarily. That revelation I spoke about, that Lewis, then 22, had married a 13-year-old cousin, Myra Gale Brown. The two would be married from 1957 to 1970. And the illicit marriage, one of 7, as I said, would cast a lifelong shadow over the musician's legacy. Born September 29, 1935 in Faraday, Louisiana, Jerry Lee Lewis grew up poor. His father, Elmo, worked as a carpenter when he worked at all. Around the house, young Jerry Lee was exposed to cowboy music, blues 78 records, and swing records. And he sneaked into local clubs to hear the likes of Ray Charles and B.B. King, the African-American greats and pioneers in their own right. Rest in peace, Jerry Lee Lewis. Wow. Gotta pause. These are just... It's so sad when someone, at least, we'll remember them the rest of our lives. Their music lives on. When it's an actor, the celluloid or video lives on forever. They're immortal, in a sense. Golly. And in other news, I just want to mention Little Richard died at the age of 87 back on Saturday, May 9th, 2020 in Tennessee. I'm in the state of Georgia. The Nostalgic PodBlast is home-based in the state of Georgia. And he was born in Macon, Georgia, Little Richard. He was born Richard Wayne Penniman, Penniman, on Monday, December 5th, 1932. And he was from that same era. Just made me think of him. I heard that Jerry Lee Lewis had passed away for real this time, unfortunately. This is in the sports world, another big-time loss. Vince Dooley passed away. He was born Vincent Joseph Dooley on Sunday, September 4th, 1932 in Mobile, Alabama. He passed away on Friday, October 28th, 2022 at the age of 90 in Athens, Georgia. Vince Dooley played for Auburn University, the Tigers, early on. He was a quarterback. He was of Irish and Italian descent. And after serving as an infantry officer in the United States Marine Corps from 1954 to 1956, he returned to Auburn University and eventually obtained a master's degree in history in 1963. After spending the first 10 years of his coaching career as the offensive coordinator at Auburn, Dooley was hired as the head coach at the University of Georgia. In his 25 seasons, he averaged over 8 wins a year. He won 6 Southeastern Conference, SEC if you will, for short championships, 1966 and 1968, 1976, 1980 when Georgia won it all, 1981 and 1982. That national championship in 1980 was huge in Georgia and in the South. After the 1980 national championship season, Vince Dooley was offered the head coaching position at Auburn, encouraged by his former Auburn teammate and Alabama governor, Fob James. However, Vince Dooley eventually declined the job and went to Georgia alumni Pat Dye, D-Y-E, P-A-T-D-Y-E, Pat Dye. In his first 3 seasons at Georgia, Dooley went 3-0 versus Georgia Tech's Bobby Dodd. Ironically, Dooley was influenced by Dodd's style and approach to the game, and he was the first recipient of the Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year award. After leaving UGA, the University of Georgia, to 201 victories, 6 SEC championships that I mentioned, and 1 national championship in 1980, Vince Dooley retired as head football coach. At the time, he was the second winningest coach in SEC history, behind only Bear Bryant in Alabama. Aside from football, Vince Dooley was an author and accomplished gardener. Rest in peace, Coach Dooley. I want to acknowledge a larger-than-life personality. He was even smaller than I am, and I'm short, folks. Leslie Jordan, an Emmy award-winning actor, writer, and singer, best known for his roles in the sitcoms Will and Grace on NBC, American Horror Story, and Hearts of Fire in the 90s, starring John Ritter and Marky Post, has died. He was 67. Jordan was driving in Hollywood and crashed into the side of a building when he was on the way to tape his show. His current show. Excuse me. This guy, he had been in so many great shows. I'm going to play a brief interview with him. Oh, Lord in heaven. Sometimes it's so hard to do this show live. So hard. I want to get my music going here. Bear with me. There, thank you. Leslie Jordan was acted for over 40 years, and I'll talk in a moment about how he achieved a lot of success through social media. And millions of people didn't realize he's an actor. I mean, on big shows. I like this show, The Cool Kids. It only lasted one season on Fox, the network, in 2019. I love that show. It was a great ensemble cast. Martin Mull was in it. Vicki Lawrence, Wayans, just wonderful talents, including Leslie Jordan. But like I said, he was driving on a Monday to go to work on the set, and he crashed into the side of a building at Romaine Street, like the lettuce Romaine. It was suspected he suffered some sort of medical emergency, which caused him to crash. Leslie Jordan was a veteran actor whose credits included The Help, The Cool Kids I just mentioned, and Call Me Kat, which is currently airing in its third season on Fox, starring Mayim Bialik, who was one of the hosts of Jeopardy! And of course, she was in Blossom with Bill Bixby, the great Bill Bixby, who directed many episodes back in the day in the early 90s. But getting back to Leslie Jordan, in 2006, he won the Emmy Award for Guest Actor in a Comedy Series for his work on Will and Grace. On that show, which he played a sexually ambiguous socialite. Leslie Jordan appeared on television shows including Ally McBeal, Ugly Betty, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Hidden Palms, Star Trek Voyager, Caroline in the City, Pee-wee's Playhouse, Reba, Boston Public, an underrated show I liked. I like a lot of shows about school, like Room 222. That show didn't last long. It was a David E. Kelly show. And, of course, Boston Legal, which David E. Kelly brought to ABC after Boston Public was canceled on Fox, was much more popular. But I watched Boston Public, and I loved it. And he played one of the teachers. Really eccentric character. He was on Nash Bridges, and he was on Boston Legal as well. And he was in movies like Ski Patrol, Roadside Rodeo, Love Ranch, Southern Baptist Sissies, and The United States versus Billie Holiday. Leslie Jordan played 3 different characters on 3 different seasons of Ryan Murphy's American Horror Story, reoccurring in the episodes Coven, Roanoke, and 1984 in those installments. But one of Leslie Jordan's most celebrated roles was his turn as Earl Brother Boy Ingram in the stage play Sordid Lives, which was later adapted into a 2000 cult romantic comedy film of the same name. Back in 1993, Leslie Jordan created his first autobiographical stage show. Hysterical blindness and other Southern tragedies that have plagued my life thus far, which ran for 7 months off Broadway at the Soho Playhouse. The play chronicled Jordan's early life in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where he's from, and featured the actor backed by a gospel choir singing satirical songs about racism and homophobia. At the time of the play's production, Variety praised Jordan's endearing stage presence, quote unquote, and called the show, quote, bittersweet and hilarious, unquote. In 2020, as I said, Jordan became a social media phenomenon, gaining millions of Instagram followers due to his humorous videos posted throughout the pandemic. Jordan released a gospel music album titled Company's Coming in 2021, and later that year appeared as a guest panelist on The Masked Singer on Fox, where he performed gospel standard, This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine. Now we're going to listen to a quick clip of Leslie Jordan. Thank goodness I'm doing this on YouTube. Maybe I can do it right next time. I'm going to play this clip of Leslie Jordan. I believe this is in the public domain. This one is a more recent one. National Book Festival author. And let me find that for you now. I got it right here somewhere. I'm messing up bad. Maybe not so bad. It sure feels like I'm messing up bad right now. And we're going to play a game later. I'm going to play just 4 songs. You tell me what these are from. It's either a TV show or a movie, Halloween themed, spooky themed. I pulled some good ones for you. Let me see if I can find this. I don't know what the hell I did with this interview. Oh, Jesus, Lord in heaven.
That is unlawful.
Let's see, folks. Where the hell is it? God dang it. Maybe I won't play the damn thing. I want to play it because this guy was universally, here, I'll get it here, was universally loved. I mean, it didn't matter what political party, whether you were gay, straight, white, black, you could relate to Leslie Jordan. And I really thought he was a great personality and a great actor. And let me find this for you real quick. Got 2 quick clips of him. Yeah, here it is, of his that I want to play for you. And I don't think this will be an issue. I never know when I'm live on Facebook. They are the pickiest, Facebook, the bots are, about clips. And it drives me up the friggin' wall. Okay, here we go. National Book Festival author. Thank you very much. Let's listen to a little bit of this. Listen to his little accent.
Always been a big fan.
Here we go.
It's a real honor. I've always been a big...
Well, he was little, actually, like me. But this is on the YouTube channel, Library of Congress. I'm assuming it's in the public domain. Bear with me. Folks, I'm sorry. Here it is. Let's just listen to this clip now of Leslie Jordan.
It's a real honor. I've always been a big fan of books and reading, and to be here, it's just an energy. I mean, we're in this enormous space, but you can feel the energy. It's just palpable. We're, you know, it's funny, for so long I would do two posts a day. I didn't even know what content meant, you know. Now I scramble for content, but I was thinking yesterday there's going to be a lot of content here, so I'm going to have to do some posting for sure. Well, How Y'all Doing was a wonderful sort of process, and anyone who has schlepped a manuscript around to publishers and been turned down and gotten rejection letters, they're going to want to slap me. They came to me. The publishers came to me, and they said, we think you have a book. We want you to call it How Y'all Doing. We want you to write about this, and we want you to use this Instagram post and this, and they laid it out. I mean, chapter by chapter by chapter. So I had this amazing sort of outline in which I could take, it was a wonderful writing exercise, but to take a 2-minute post, and without knowing what a brilliant marketer I was, each of my posts had a beginning, a middle, and an end in that, you know, format. And so to take that and elongate it into chapters was just a wonderful, wonderful writing experience. Well, my mother, who, not to put a damper on the proceedings, passed May 17th of this year, gave me the greatest gift, and that was my love of reading. She would take me to the bookmobile, and it would pull into the elementary school, and I would lay on my bed. First of all, it was air conditioned, which we didn't have air conditioning back then in Tennessee, and I would lay on my belly with all the books until they literally ran me off. They would say, Leslie, you've got to go. So I've always had this amazing love of reading and books. And then when I was probably 14 or 15 years old, in school we had to read a play, or we had to read a short story by Truman Capote, and I think I read something by Tennessee Williams, and all of a sudden, all these veiled inferences were popping up, and I knew, I mean, being a little gay boy growing up in the Baptist church, and it saved my life. I mean, you know, I knew what Skipper and Brick were up to. I knew what was going on with the Truman Capote characters and the little boy and this and that, and it probably saved my life. I don't think that I have seen Megan since the show went off the air, which would be quite a while ago. You know, we've kept up with each other, but not like hang out. And, you know, I've followed Nick and Nick's career with his books that he's written and all he has going on with Amy Poehler. They have all kinds of podcasts or whatever, fun stuff going on. I've kept that. But this will be a true reunion. And I plan on walking in and going, well. Karen Walker. I thought
He told a really interesting story on CBS's The Talk, which I will talk about later on in the show. We're going to get back to Halloween stuff, folks. This is the last person I want to acknowledge who passed away recently, Leslie Jordan. And I'm going to wrap this up here in just a second, this particular topic. But he told a really funny story about his latest high school reunion. And there were bullies, and these are his words, not mine. He says they would play Smear the Queer, and I was always the one they would try to tackle. And that's, for those that don't know that might be younger, don't be offended. It was just a football game. He called it dodgeball, but when I was, I'm a Generation Xer. When I was a kid, it was that whoever was designated as the person to tackle, I won't say the word again, you know, you'd have the ball, and that was the person that's going to be tackled until they got rid of that ball, or till the tackler tackled the tacklee. So anyway, but he talked about going and seeing these bullies at the reunion, and they were all nice to him, and he's like, I'm rich now. You just had to see it. I could not replicate it. He's so talented, unlike me, and he was very personable. So I'm going to just play another this is a very brief little clip of Leslie Jordan. This is from 2010 that I had pulled that I thought was pretty interesting. It's called How Y'all Doing? Let me just play just a second, and then we'll move on to Halloween stuff. How y'all doing? I always got to make sure there's no ad. If I can't get this to go, we will move on. But I just want to pay him some just respect. There it is. If you want to look at this on YouTube,
hello.
The video is called How Y'all Doing? Misadventures and Mischief from a Life Well Lived with Leslie Jordan. I'm just going to play a couple seconds of it. It's an hour long.
This was very rude of me to wear these shoes. Yes, very rude.
Not fair.
This is also from the Library of Congress YouTube channel.
Well, you guys came to the right event.
Thank you.
Well, before we veer wildly off the topic of Will and Grace, I do want to talk about how you got the part, because it's a pretty good story.
I got a call to read for this part for Will and Grace. What I didn't know was that the character of Beverly Leslie was originally written for Joan Collins. She was going to steal Rosario the maid away from Karen Walker. They were going to confront each other over a billiard table.
Dang it.
And do like
Spilling
a
coffee.
dynasty cat fight. You know, they wanted this, and pull each other's wigs off. Well, it came time, you know, to shoot the show, and Miss Collins apparently did not want her wig jerked off.
Oh, geez, I ain't playing this no more.
And so
this isn't what I thought it was.
Decided to recast it, and I went in to audition. Well, she didn't show up to the table read, and one of our executive producers, one of the creators of the show, who's very temperamental, just went ballistic and decided to recast.
Okay, well, there's that story of how he was cast in Will and Grace. So rest in peace, Leslie Gordon. Now, in his lean days, back in 1985, June of 1985 is when this was filmed. You're going to laugh because I always talk about this damn show. Leslie Jordan guest starred in The Fall Guy in season 5, in the very first episode that was filmed for season 5. Not the first one that aired, but the first one shot in production order, titled Last Chance Platoon. And of course, I have it on 16mm film. And it's never been released on home video. Only season 1 was released in America on DVD. And in Europe, season 2 was out of the 5 seasons. But I've talked about this show ad nauseum. And it's kind of sad that they're making a movie. That's not the sad part. The sad part is that younger folks have never seen the show aside from maybe season 1, which had music replacement and harsh edits to the pilot. But I'm not going to go there. But speaking of Fall Guy and Leslie Jordan guest starring in that show, Item, the Fall Guy movie from Universal, Comcast Xfinity Universal, starring Ryan Gosling, is filming now in Australia, and a photo leaked from the set on location of the new GMC truck that Colt supposedly is driving, and many fans were a little outraged, and they were laughing at it. One Fall Guy fan said, quote, "I'm out," unquote. That's Fall Guy fan Rob on the Fall Guy fan page on Facebook when he saw that truck. Now, this is the kind of reaction I had to the casting of the title character in She-Hulk. I didn't like it. I thought she's too small for the role, and I was proven wrong. So what I learned is I don't want to have a knee-jerk reaction to these characters. To this casting. So anyway, The photo leaked, and the Daily Mail UK website had an article, and I'll spare you the cookie leeches because when you click this, it says, we use cookies. Is that okay? Always say no, and always exit immediately, because what these websites do is they sell your information and they bombard you with spam email. It's the worst. So when you see that cookie warning, it's because they were sued. It's because of lawsuits, and it's giving you the right to back out of that website and not give up your private information. I mean, I don't want to name names, but there's also people that beg for votes on certain podcast, which I won't mention, podcast websites. All that does is collect data for the owner of that list. It does nothing, because it's only people that are also podcasting that look at that list and have access to it. So anyway, the point is, avoid cookies like the plague. I've been trained in digital marketing, and I know what I'm talking about. That's why you see ads that follow you around on your phone. Your phone's listening, folks. But anyway, I want to read this article. I took the cookie hit for you about the new movie. Here's the headline. Hollywood actor Ryan Gosling oozes star power as he shoots his car chase for the new action film The Fall Guy in Sydney, Australia. This article was written by Jimmy Briggs, and it was published on October 29th, 2022. Here's the article. Ryan Gosling looked every inch the superstar on Saturday when he filmed his upcoming movie The Fall Guy in Sydney. The Notebook star, 41 years of age, was spotted behind the wheel of a brown UTE, shooting an action-packed scene for his latest movie. The two-time Oscar nominee was clad in loose-fitting activewear for the shoot, with him fitting snugly in a red and white jacket. His 5 o'clock shadow gave him a somewhat rugged appearance as he completed his look with a digital wristwatch. This doesn't seem very masculine to me, this attire. This Chance Bartels, the Nostalgic PodBlast, interjecting with the article, continuing with the article as written. He could not wipe the smile off his face as the cameras began rolling, and he got into character to film a heart-stopping car chase. Ryan looked thrilled to have scored the coveted lead role in the upcoming blockbuster. Well, that remains to be seen if it's a blockbuster. Hopefully it will be. Based on the popular 1980s TV series. Again, this is written in the UK, where Fall Guy has been running on TV. In America, it hadn't been in syndication since 1997 on the FX channel. Around the world, yes, it's still been out there. So it probably will be a worldwide hit because there is demand in Germany and England for that old show. And it's seen still to this day in Europe and other countries too, like Japan. Continuing with the article, and then move on to more Halloween stuff. Emily Blunt, 39 years of age, is set to star alongside Gosling in the film helmed by John Wick director David Leitch. The Fall Guy, which premiered in 1981, was centered on a stuntman who led a double life. Like the author, maybe? No, I was kidding of this article. The cast was led by Lee Majors of the $6 Million Man fame and also included Heather Thomas and Marky Post. And Doug Barr. Not a mention of Doug Barr. He was one of the main characters. Marky Post was a secondary character in seasons 2 through 4 of Fall Guy only, which is a significant, that's 3 seasons out of the 5. But she wasn't written to be in every single episode. She was the person that Colt and Howie and Heather on the side would work for to bring back bail jumpers for money for $5,000 and up. That was the bounty that they were trying to get financially per gig, in addition to being a stuntman in Hollywood. But it irritates me how Doug Barr, whom I interviewed on the Nostalgic PodBlast, he's a very intellectual and successful person. He just retired from the wine business, a secondary career after acting and directing, and he still directs. And I hope he's in the movie in a cameo. I'm sure Lee Majors will have a cameo, and hopefully Heather Thomas, but I want Doug Barr to be there. He wasn't even featured on the DVD. 20th Century Fox really botched the season 1 DVD of Fall Guy, in my opinion. I don't even want to show it before the camera. But he's not on the front. He's not on the back. He's nowhere on there. And he was one of the main characters. He was seen on screen as much as Lee Majors. Anyway, Doug always gets slighted. Pisses me off. Getting back to the article. The Fall Guy ran for a total of 5 seasons, the last of which concluded in 1986. Development on the film adaptation of the program initially began in 2010, and Martin Campbell was eyed as its director. At the time, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, was in negotiations to serve as the feature's lead. However, both entertainment industry figures left the project, which was picked up by Leitch, the director, David Leitch, in 2020, when it was announced that Gosling had signed on to star. Now, someone commented, that's the end of the article, someone commented on the Daily Mail UK website, where this article can be found, quote, "Yet another boring Hollywood remake, retread or reimagining, with neither the heart nor the soul of the original. Sad." Well, you don't know that, sir. And hey, this director actually did a great job with Bullet Train, which the article didn't even mention, starring Brad Pitt and others. Sandra Bullock was a surprise star in that, and many other like A-list actors and actresses. He did a great job. And besides, this director who's directing this movie was a real stuntman. So I'm optimistic. And I learned my lesson with the She-Hulk casting. So, and that truck, for all you know, that these people are complaining about and bitching about, that may be a joke in the movie. And the real truck may be revealed later. So anyway, but back to Halloween. Now, we're going to talk nostalgic Halloween treats and ask, what's your favorite Halloween movie or TV special? What was your favorite Halloween prank you pulled, which I've already asked. If you need time to think about it, just comment away. What was your favorite memorable Halloween party or costume? We can get naughty if you want. What are your Halloween family traditions? And again, I'll ask you this question, and I'm going to tell the story now. Have you ever seen a dead body? Have you ever seen a dead body? Item. I'll go ahead and tell you my dead body story. And I'm not talking about at funerals, open casket situation. I'm asking you, when you're a child, adult, whatever, did you ever encounter a dead body? This is Halloween season. So my story concerns the drowning of a poor soul whom, when I was 13, I'm not proud of this, I coldly named Bobbing Bob. And Bob was not his real name, by the way. It's just a moniker I gave this poor soul, which is very heartless of me. The year is 1984, and I'm at my aunt and uncle's cabin property called Camp Merriweather on a pond in the state of Maine, in the northeast part of the United States of America, for a summer vacation. Well, sadly, on the 4th of July that year in 1984, when I was 13, on their pond, a stranger drowned, who his friends said was drunk and could not swim. Overboard into the pond he went in a drunken stupor from a canoe. The authorities could not find the body. Well, across the pond from my aunt and uncle's cabins was a little island. And it was small. It was a tiny little island. My older cousin and his friend invite me to camp there with sleeping bags on, get this, Friday the 13th. And I said, okay. And of course, after we grilled steaks and baked potatoes wrapped in tin foil in the ground, it was a cool little technique to quickly cook a baked potato, well, the beers flowed. And I was 13, and my cousin was 18, and his friend was 19. Back then, up there anyway, in the Boston area in Maine, 18 was a legal drinking age. You could buy a case of beer, which they did when you were 18. You know, isn't that something? I mean, you could be 18 and go to war and fight for your country, but you can't buy cigarettes or alcohol. And I'm not condoning consuming those products. I'm just making a point. I think it's ridiculous. I'm not the only one to make that point, but I'm going to make it on this show, The Nostalgic PodBlast. I think it's bullcrap. Anyway, getting back to the story and about the dead body. I was 13, and my cousin Jesse, who was 18 at the time, and his friend who was 19, gave me my first beers. And pretty soon after we started drinking beers, the taunting began. Quote, "Hey, Chance, Bobbing Bob is still out there somewhere right now on Friday the 13th. The terror soon began as he started behind my back making the Friday the 13th classic sounds with their mouths, scaring the crap out of me. Well, the next day, after I sobered up, we went ashore across the pond to the Maine cabin area at Camp Meriwether in the state of Maine. And, well, everyone said to me, "Man, you kept me up all night with your yelling and screaming." And that's when I found out the sound travels pretty friggin' fast across water. Well, flash forward 2 days, and we get a visit from the local police, the state police in Maine, asking if they can dredge a body onto our dock. My aunt and uncle agreed. Bobbing Bob was finally located. Now, I never knew this guy's real name, and I still don't. I just called him Bobbing Bob when I'd heard that someone had drowned and the body was still out there somewhere in the pond. And that's the first time I ever saw a dead body, is when they drugged that body up onto the dock. And it was a white man with a beard who'd been underwater for 2 weeks. The body was bloated in the stomach, purple, and he was partially eaten by fish and other forms of life in the water. To the horror of my aunt, I took out my Kodak 110 camera and took a photo of the body to show my buddy Danny back home in Georgia. She said to me, "You're going to be cursed if you take that picture. Don't look at it." She tried to put her hands over my eyes. My aunt pled with me. Or is it pleaded? Anyway, she begged me, "Don't do it, don't do it." Nothing doing. I took the photo anyway. And by the way, later, the photomat actually developed those photos. This is before digital. See, I'm an old fart. I'm a Generation Xer. This is when you had to take film to a photomat, which was a freestanding building in a parking lot of a shopping center. And you have to wait a day or two, usually at least a couple days, to get the photos back from the lab. And if it was a naughty picture, they wouldn't develop them, or at least they wouldn't give you the copy. I've talked on this show with people that worked at photomats that told me about a wall of shame or a wall of photos that they kept that were on the naughty side. Anyway, yes, I took pictures of Bobbing Bob. And I took them to school. I have one of those pictures. I know exactly where it is. But there were others that I took to school that got confiscated and were destroyed by teachers. And let me tell you a little bit about Bobbing Bob. I drew pictures of him while I was still in Maine. I drew pictures of the corpse, of the face. And it was horrible. The expression on this poor guy's face, his poor soul. His rigor mortis paused face was in such a position it literally looked like it froze as he gasped for his last breath of air. And then he died. I captured that face with my artwork when I was 13. And his hand was in a clawing motion. And this is really, really disgusting, but his claw was down to the bone. You could see the skeleton. You could see the bones under his hand. It's a horrible memory. So that's my dead body story. What's yours? Have you ever seen a dead body? Call the show at 770-438-1050. But remember, excuse me, there's no statute of limitation when it comes to murder. So if there is foul play involved with your story, don't call. I don't want you getting in trouble on my account. I'm just kidding. I hope there's no murderers listening, watching this show right now. I don't know why my southern accent's coming to the surface. Incidentally, my aunt and uncle or aunt, I don't know where to pronounce it, aunt or aunt. My aunt and uncle's main cabin at Camp Meriwether had a generator. It was pretty cool, and they had a baseball diamond for softball. It was a cool little family retreat up there in Maine. But moving on. Item. Disney does not yet own the PlayStation video console, the character of Spider-Man, or the game show Wheel of Fortune. Those properties are all owned by Sony in Japan, which Disney does a profit-sharing deal with for use of their character Spider-Man in the MCU Marvel Comics Universe films. Man, do I love the old Pineapple Whip at Disney theme parks. It's the best. Their little exclusive treat. Anyway, so now it's time for our game. Item. Name the soundtrack game. Halloween 2023 edition. Really 2022. I'm just saying that you might be listening in the future. I have 4 for you. Let me start. I should have these clips ready. I'm going to play a clip. And a couple of these are kind of on the easy side. I got a trick one for you, too. A tricky one. But let me play for you now. This one, if I can find it. Oh, you know what? And I messed up. I had this public domain spooky music I was going to play. I'll do it on YouTube Live when I redo this show. I'll just play a little bit of it for you now. The spooky music when I told my dead body story. I guess I'll use it for something else later tonight on Facebook Live. I blew it, folks. It's really cool music. Okay, so getting to our game. Here's selection number 1. And again, bam. I want to give credit to this gentleman. This is a reorchestration because of the bots. And it always irks me when a radio show will play not the original version of a song. It's not because of rights, it's because of ignorance. They'll typically use TV's Greatest Hits, Volume 1 through 8. And MTV actually originally put those out starting in 1985 with Television's Greatest Hits Volume 1. And back then they didn't have access to the 35 millimeter negatives or the music tracks. And so they would hire musicians or use 16 millimeter film elements. So the quality wouldn't be great of the original versions. Now it's fine. You know, now we're in the modern age. Everything's been digitized and digitally remastered. I just drank on mic. That's one of my pet peeves when someone takes a swig of something. It just sounds so gross. It's like nails on a chalkboard. That's me. That's my hang up. That's my problem. Probably doesn't annoy anybody else, but it just, I hate it when someone takes a big swig of a beverage and the mic picks it up. It's disgusting to me anyway. But let's get to the game. Got the first one for you. 1 of 4. Now this version, not the original, is by Neil Norman. I want to give him full credit. Neil is how he spells his first name. Neil Norman. Norman, like Norman Bates. And he's a really talented musician. And he produced many albums, and Starlog magazine would write articles, and he would advertise his albums in Starlog. This is going way back, folks, to the late 70s and the 80s. Here's his version of this song. This is an easy one. Just tell me what this show is. And it's on the spooky side for the Halloween vibe. Here it is. The Outer Limits. That's the answer, and I'm sure you knew that. That was one of the easy ones. We have a trickier one next up, but let's listen to the original opening. This is a longer version. The first few episodes, they had this longer version, and this was the control voice voiced by Vic Perrin with the music by Dominique Frontiere, who scored that music and composed it, originally and created that music, at groundbreaking music. Here's the opening to The Outer Limits. It's a minute long.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
Great show. And in that year when it debuted, 1963 to 64 season, there was a new vanguard at ABC. They called it the New ABC. In that same season, The Fugitive debuted, The Patty Duke Show debuted, and The Outer Limits debuted. Leslie Stevens, who also brought us Buck Rogers in the 25th Century on NBC many years after The Outer Limits, starting in September 1979. He was one of the creative forces behind The Outer Limits. So many talented people were behind that. Well, that's another story. We did a PodBlast, Al, Tom, and I, on The Outer Limits in the Twilight Zone at Tom's studio. Oh, gosh, I guess it's been a couple of years ago by now, but it's out there on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, The Nostalgic PodBlast. Now, next question. This is a tricky one. This is a bit tricky, and I'll explain why in a moment. This is spooky music for Halloween. Let me play this for you now. Oh, darn you. Here we go. Let's listen. It's a TV show. Pretty psychotic sounding. It reminds me of Psycho by Bernard Herrmann, whom we'll talk about tonight. By the way, Jay is watching. He just commented. Jay Aarons. Thanks, man. He's left several comments. He says, great stuff, very interesting, informative, and well thought out. Thank you. And he says, what a story about the dead body. You know, and I it's a true story. I'm not proud of that. I hope I don't go to hell for that, but I've been baptized. That supposedly forgives you for your sins. But I should have heeded the wise words of my aunt/aunt, however you pronounce it. Okay, so let's see. Did my jack-o'-lantern go out there? I don't know. Anyway, if anyone listening won't care. What was that music from? I bet most of you didn't know. That was to Night Gallery, believe it or not. The third season opening to Night Gallery. And that was composed by Eddie Sauter. Sauter. And you didn't hear that much since the cancellation of Night Gallery because in syndication and reruns, you heard the season 1 and 2 version, which I'm going to play now. And this is the original version. It's probably going to get me in trouble with the bots, but let's go for it. And by the way, this music is one of the first use of electronic music in television theme show history. The first use of electronic music. Let's listen to the classic Night Gallery intro. That's where they would announce the guest stars. I love that spooky music. It's perfect for Halloween. Perfect. So that original music you just heard for season 1 and 2. By the way, Steven Spielberg directed a segment in the television movie Night Gallery in 1969. He directed Joan Crawford. There were 3 segments in that 2-hour movie. It was a television movie before it was commissioned to be a weekly series. Of course, written by, in many instances, not every segment was written by Rod Serling, but Rod Serling was the host in the Night Gallery. But that music was scored by Gil, Gil Melle. The Spanish pronunciation is Mella. Gil Mella. And again, like I said, that was one of the first uses of electronic musical instruments in a television opening theme tune. And Gil was born Gilbert John Mella, and he was an artist, a jazz musician, and of course a film composer. He was born on December 31st, 1931 in Jersey City, New Jersey. He was an American. And he sadly passed away back on October 28th, 2004 in Malibu, California. Now let's go to number 3 of 4 theme songs. These are all spooky in nature. You tell me what show this is from. And it's not the original version because I can't get away with it with the bots on Facebook. YouTube, yeah, but let's see. Here it is. Let's listen. This is cool. Pretty cool in stereo, isn't it? Have you figured out what that is? I know a lot of you did. This is an educated audience, or podience, for the nostalgic PodBlast. Danny's wife came up with that. Podience. Like audience. It was from Dark Shadows, and that was a cover version, and I'll give full credit to that artist, that musician. Walden Reed Jr. did that reorchestration, and that's from his YouTube channel titled, this is the name of his YouTube channel, Walden, Waldon Reed, Reed Jr. Jr. That was a cover to Dark Shadows, and that was published on his YouTube channel back on July 2nd, 2017. Now, Dark Shadows was a gothic soap opera. This was really cool with vampires. So it was shot on videotape, just like Days of Our Lives. You know how it has that, I shouldn't say cheap, but, film looks great. Videotape, less great. And Twilight Zone actually did 6 episodes on videotape way back in 1960. We've talked about it before. I won't rehash that. Anyone that might have heard that previous show, a recent one with the fellas. But Dark Shadows, let's give you some history on that real quick. It was a gothic soap opera, as I said, with vampires that aired weekdays on the ABC television network from June 27th, 1966 to April 2nd, 1971. That's a healthy run. It's not a Days of Our Lives healthy run or a Bold and the Beautiful healthy run or The Young and the Restless, which are some of the longest running soap operas of all time, but that's still a pretty good run. June 27th, 1966 to April 2nd, 1971. And the show depicted the lives, loves, and trials and tribulations of the wealthy Collins family in Collinsport, Maine, that same state I talked about with my real-life dead body story previously in tonight's show, tonight's PodBlast. And a number of supernatural occurrences take place in that town. This is a staggering number. 1,225 episodes of Dark Shadows were taped. Now, the original composer of that music is Bob Cobert, C-O-B-E-R-T. The T is silent. Bob Cobert. And his Dark Shadows soundtrack made history and actually charted in the top 20 on the Billboard charts. A good deal of Dark Shadows ambience can be credited to Bob Cobert and his music. The composer of the gothic soap opera with that music both evoked classic horror scores and looked to the future with its spacey sounds. It did sound science fiction-y, but it was a horror soap opera. Can you believe it, kids? Those that are younger than me? That's pretty friggin' cool. And now the last of our 4 spooky type musical themes of television shows. Guess what this one is? Again, this is a bit of a trick question. Some of you will know, most of you will not. Let me find it. Where are you, my little friend? And this is, again, is from Neil Norman and his YouTube channel. Listen up, please. Listen up. Now, it's going to go into a more familiar version. What do you think that music is from? What do you think that's from? I'll tell you who composed it originally. That was Bernard Herrmann, with 2 N's at the end. Bernard Herrmann, who in movies did the background, incidental, and theme music to the classic Alfred Hitchcock movie Psycho, starring Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates. Okay, I'll tell you. That was the Twilight Zone Season 1 theme. The more traditional theme, and I'll play you Neil's, because he went on and went right into that traditional Twilight Zone. I paused it for dramatic purposes so we can talk about the trivia of it. Well, here's an article from Time Magazine, just a couple paragraphs, folks, very brief. In the 2nd season of CBS's original The Twilight Zone series, CBS musical director Lud Gluskin, L-U-D, Lud Gluskin, spelled G-L-U-S-K-I-N, like glue skin, Gluskin, was tasked with finding the show its own special sound, and thus the iconic theme tune was born that I'm going to play. It was simplistic yet hair-raising. The music for the Twilight Zone Season 2, which went on to be the theme Season 2 through 5, and then Twilight Zone, the movie in 1983, and up until the more current incarnations on Paramount Plus to this day in 2023, early 2022. But that music was derived from 2 short musical cues written by French avant-garde composer Marius Constant. I'm going to spell that for you. His first name is spelled Marius. Marius. Last name Constant. It looks like constant, but it's probably Constant. Like croissant. Croissant. Spelled Constnt. And this guy, Marius, had originally created music as part of a background score that, until Lud Gluskin or Gluskin unearthed it, lived sleepily in CBS's musical archive vault. Lud Gluskin took snippets of two pieces of music, Astrons 3, which means strange number 3 in English, the French piece of music, and Milieu 2, spelled Milieu. Milieu. I guess Inspector Clouseau could, Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau could pronounce it with a better accent than I could. But the English version of Milieu 2 means middle number 2. And so he edited or spliced these two pieces of music together to form the dramatic guitar plinks and orchestral bursts that warn us of a reality that comes with a twist in The Twilight Zone. Now let's listen to Neil Norman's cover, if you will, of the Twilight Zone traditional theme. I can't play the original for music rights reasons, but here is Neil Norman's brilliant reorchestration. Concludes our quiz for this edition of the Nostalgic PodBlast Halloween. So those are some spookier themes, just 4 in television history in terms of classic TV that I really like. And there's many, many more, but I have to save them for future Halloweens, right? There you go there. I want to mention also Neil Norman, back in the late 70s, Starlog Magazine would give a free single, and it would be like a cheap little flimsy record. You'd have to cut it out of the magazine. It would be a square, and you'd have to cut the round circumference of the record to fit on your record player, and it'd have the hole in the center. You would punch out and put. It was. Do you remember those? I know a small minority of people will know what the hell I'm talking about, and I have some. I should have had them for the camera, but it's so damn dark. If anyone watching on camera can see, I have my jack-o'-lantern, and I have the lights turned out for effect. You wouldn't see it anyway very clearly on camera had I had it in my hand at this moment. But it was just like a little flimsy free sample of a record, and Starlog Magazine, before the internet, would put that in the magazine as like a free gift or free sample for Neil Norman, who was a big friend of Starlog Magazine in those days, and to this day. Kerry O'Quinn was the original publisher of Starlog Magazine, and he also published Fangoria. Since this was a Halloween show, briefly talk about Fangoria. I've mentioned it in previous PodBlasts, like PodBlast 5, Addams Family Monsters, and PodBlast 7 and 8. Those were our 2-part horror movie PodBlasts that are airing on fistfulofradio.com this weekend from 2 to 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. But let's continue on here with a regular standard that I play, and here it is. Then we'll get back to Halloween themed stuff and spooky stuff. I got a Ouija board story to tell you.
This is Jeopardy!
Our Jeopardy update for this edition of the Nostalgic PodBlast is that I quit watching it. While Ken Jennings is hosting, he irks me. So I stopped watching. And I probably shouldn't do that because I always pick up some interesting tidbits. It's very educational watching Jeopardy. But I stopped because I like Mayim, but no one can really replace the late, great Alex Trebek. So that's my Jeopardy update. I just wanted to play the original. I call that the hyperactive theme. The original Jeopardy theme with that hyperactive synthesizer. Okay, so time for the nostalgic question of the week, and this is a Halloween-themed question. What is your favorite Halloween candy you'd get as a kid? Was it the Zero Bar? Remember the Zero Bar with white chocolate and a chocolate center? Like a nougat? Not many people like the Zero Bar, but I did. What about Zagnut, which is kind of like a poor man's Butterfinger? Actually, it cost the same as Butterfinger, but it wasn't as well known or well cherished as the Butterfinger bar. But what was your favorite Halloween candy you'd get as a kid? Something offbeat, something mainstream. We all know about the candy you didn't want to get. I'm not going to go there. Other radio and podcast hosts have talked about that lately. I don't want to copy anybody, like the Kimmer Show or anybody like that. So let's move on. Just think on that, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Again, I'm going to do this entire show over at a decent time when people are actually awake in YouTube Live, on the YouTube channel, The Nostalgic PodBlasts. So we're going to do the whole thing over so that maybe Al Hardy could contribute or someone else could contribute. Let's get to the nostalgic toy of the week, and I have two this time. And we're going to wind down the show a little bit. I don't want to be super long. Like I've been known to do a 6-hour show, and man, I'm drinking coffee at Ezra Live. It's 3:34 a.m. on the weekend. Thankfully, I'm going to be up all night. I need to get some sleep. But let's continue on here with the nostalgic toy of the week. And in honor of the late great Vince Dooley, who recently passed away, sadly, back on Friday, October 28th, 2022, I want to feature this classic toy that was first released back in 1977. Let's listen to a commercial for this product and this toy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we challenged hotshot Dick Tchaikovsky to play the Mattel Electronics football game. Dick doesn't know, inside is a tiny thinking computer that plays like a whole team of pros. Dick's got the ball, but that computer defense is tough. He drives up the middle, stopped cold. 1 yard. Now Dick cuts left, down the sidelines, touchdown. Mattel Electronics Pocket Football with a built-in computer.
Hey, who's in there?
Had little dots. It was a primitive game, but a fun game. I loved scoring a touchdown, the little sound it would make. And I guess I'll play that now after I share some more history with you about this game, football. It was released in 1977 originally, as I said, by Mattel Electronics. And doggone it, I thought I had a clip of that for you, and I know I did. I'm going to get that for you now. This is like a rehearsal for tomorrow's show on YouTube. No, that's the same one I just played. Let me get it for you now. Golly, I'm usually more on the ball. Maybe I didn't pull it. I might not. Yes, I did. Here it is. This is where I messed up. Okay, let me just cue this up, folks, and I got some history for you. And you'll hear this guy talking. I'm going to give him full credit.
This is Mattel Electronic Football.
Yep. Okay, I'll play that. And it's only 44 seconds long, folks, this clip. But I just want to feature some of the sound effects. But let me read for you now some history of Mattel Electronics Football. I've said this 3 times now. It was released in 1977, and it was labeled the game either Football or Football 1, depending on the date the game was released that you got. And it was handheld. It was long before the Game Boy. It was like an early handheld video game. And Mattel continued to make, or at least ship the remaining stock of, the original football game even after Football 2 came out, the quote-unquote more advanced version of the game. Both the game and the box reflect the addition of the Roman numeral 1 And again, the font was just a little red dot. Like think of the Cylon Raider in Battlestar Galactica, the red eye thing. It was like a little dash, a little red dash that would designate the men for the offense and the defense. But it was a fun-ass game, and you would play against the computer. And when you were playing by yourself. And it was a really cool game. Very nostalgic. And it was first released in June of 77. And the second game, also released by Mattel, was sold through Sears department stores, kind of like Atari. Remember there was the Sears knockoff? Same thing, same console, the Atari 2600. But, some of your friends would have the Sears version and others would have the Atari version. And there's no disrespect to anyone that had the Sears version. You could say that's probably American made, whereas the Japanese made the Atari original version. I had the Atari version. Let's see. After less than 100,000 units were made of Football 1, Sears, using a computer model based on initial sales figures, determined that the games would not be big sellers, and most of the production for Football was stopped. Within 6 months, it became obvious to Sears that their prediction was wrong, and production started up again because it actually did sell, and it reached previously unknown levels, reaching as many as 500,000 units sold a week by mid-February 1978. So I'm going to play now a little bit of the sound, and then we'll move on to the second nostalgic toy of the week, and it definitely pertains to Halloween. And I've got a really great story, a personal story about that. But here is this gentleman on YouTube, a 44-second clip. I want to give credit to this guy, Steve Chamberlain. That's his YouTube channel. This is from 9 years ago, but here he is just playing the game. Let's listen to 44 seconds of this clip.
All right, this is Mattel Electronic Football. This was from 1977. I remember I had one of these things, and you look at it, and it's like the bright red blip has got to run around the dim red blips. Like, how is this even a game? Oh my God!
Sounds
So
like
let's see,
Seinfeld.
where am I? It's
With inflection.
All right, it's 1st and 10. I'm on the 17-yard line. All right, I gotta score here. Hang on. I think I still remember how to do this. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm open. Oh damn it. All right. 2nd and 2. I can do it. Oh, there's an opening. Hey!
There was his touchdown. End of clip. So that's kind of a cool little game. So let's move on to the second nostalgic toy of the week. And I'm going to play a commercial. It's only 15 seconds long. Let's listen. This is a bit visual. There's a question. Will I ever be tall enough to slam dunk?
You're moving it. No, I'm not. You're moving it.
It's not the 8-ball, folks. It's something else. Something possibly more sinister than the 8-ball. Will my parents let me go to the concert? Question?
You're moving it. Would you just quiet? I'm trying to concentrate here. And I'm not moving it. You're moving it.
That's the Ouija board, which a lot of people think is evil. But let's talk about the Ouija board. And that ad was from 1991, by the way, that television ad. But the origin of the game, it's also known as a spirit board or a talking board. There's a Lost in Space episode with a Ouija board, as Dr. Smith called it. Season 1, episode 19 in production order, Ghost in Space. And there's a cool scene in that episode where the Ouija board goes flying. And what's happened was an invisible monster plucked it out of Smith and Penny's clutches and crashed it and smashed it. Anyway, but getting back to the real Ouija board, however you want to pronounce it. It's also known as a spirit board or talking board. And it's a flat board marked with letters of the Latin alphabet and the numbers 0 through 9 with the words yes or no. Occasionally hello and goodbye, along with various symbols and graphics. It used a small heart-shaped piece of wood or plastic as a movable indicator to spell out messages during a seance. That's the yes-no questions that you heard those kids asking in the commercial I played. Participants placed their fingers on the heart-shaped piece of wood or plastic. It's plastic in the case of the Parker Brothers Ouija board, which was mass-produced, and it's moved about the board to spell out words. Ouija is a trademark of Hasbro. but is often used generically to refer to any talking board. Spiritualists in the United States believed that the dead were able to be contacted by the living and reportedly used a talking board very similar to a modern Ouija board at their camps in the U.S. state of Ohio in 1886 to ostensibly enable faster communication with spirits in the spirit world. Following its commercial introduction by businessman Elijah Bond on July 1st, 1890, the Ouija board was regarded as an innocent parlor game unrelated to the occult until American spiritualist named Pearl Curran, Curran, popularized its use as a divining tool during World War I. Paranormal and supernatural beliefs associated with Ouija have been criticized by the scientific community and characterized as pseudoscience. The action of the board can be most easily explained by unconscious movements by those controlling the pointer. A psychophysiological phenomenon. Boy, is that a tongue twister. A psycho, I said it the second time. A psychophysiological phenomenon known as the ideomotor effect. Mainstream Christian denominations, including Catholicism, have warned against the use of Ouija boards, holding that they can lead to demonic possession. Occultists, on the other hand, are divided on the issue, with some claiming it can be a tool for positive transformation, while others reiterate the warnings of many Christians and caution, quote, inexperienced users, unquote, against it. Now, here's my Ouija board story. Oh, God, I hope my mom isn't listening. I know she's not right now at 3:44 in the morning as we're live. Okay. Back in a previous PodBlast, we had an actor named Leonard Jackson, who I went to high school with. He lives in California and has for decades. But once upon a time, briefly, he lived in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and we went to high school together. And on the PodBlast, and he, by the way, he's been in many national television ads that you've seen. I mean, and he's prominently in these commercials, and they pay very well. He's been in a Flow ad from the Regressive Insurance Company. But we interviewed him right here on the Nostalgic PodBlast a year or so ago, and he brought up this story. So I'm not saying this because I'm not proud of this. I'm a little ashamed of it, but Leonard acted like this was a big deal. Anyway, whatever. Just Google the Nostalgic PodBlast Leonard Jackson if you want to hear his take on what I'm about to share with you now. All right, so when I was a senior in high school here in the state of Georgia, my English teacher came on to me. Or at least I thought she was coming on to me. Let me back up. It was a Friday, and I'm late getting back to class after lunch. The door to the classroom is shut, and it appeared to be locked. So I knock on the door. Hey, can I get in? And the teacher, who was very attractive and 37 years of age at the time, opens the door. I'm not going to mention names, and steps out into the hallway to talk with me. She says, okay, I can smell it on your breath, she says. I'll give you two options. One, come to my house on Monday night to discuss your book review. Or two, I'll take you to the principal's office right now. Well, what do you think I chose, folks? I went to her house. So what does this have to do with a Ouija board? Well, I will tell you. So, like I said, this happened on a Friday. So over the weekend, I tell my buddies that I think this teacher came on to me. No way, was the general response from my friends. So I got out my Parker Brothers Ouija board with my buddies at a public park called Hammond Park, located in Sandy Springs, Georgia. And this was on a Saturday. And we all put our hands on the plastic piece and ask, will Chance score with the English teacher on Monday? Will Chance score with the English teacher on Monday? And I was 17 or 18 at the time. I think it was 18. All signs pointed to yes on the Ouija board. And sure enough, the board was right. I won't go into details as a family show. Let's just say I went there, and then she just asked me straight up after we talked a little bit about the book review, what would you say, Chance, if I asked you to go upstairs with me right now? And I said, let's go. And we did. Anyway, so and she had already divorced her husband, so she wasn't married or anything like that. And I certainly was single. Anyway, that was the last time I was laid. No, I'm just kidding. But she made me swear not to tell my friends for obvious reasons. She was scared of losing her job. But my closest friends already knew because we got out the Ouija board when I suspected something's going to happen here. And in fact, some of my friends were actually waiting for me at my house, parked in their cars across from my house, waiting for me to return home with details. And this was before texting, obviously, right? So you just had to wait and see. So when I show up at home, it's 1 a.m. and my buddies are still there. Two of my friends, my guy friends. They knew automatically something went down. They knew what went down without me saying a word. So, it's kind of hard to promise the lady because they already knew. And eventually word, unfortunately, got out at the school, but she kind of told herself she'd show up my woodshop classes, my English teacher. She'd show up. I need to talk to you, because we had a thing going for a while, for a long time. And I was like, a little obvious here. So anyway, whatever. But I was never questioned. There was never an inquisition with faculty or anything like that. No one ever even talked to me. All I know is she eventually was transferred to another school. But she wasn't fired, but she was transferred by the Fulton County school system. Anyway, whatever. Now, I can't tell you more about what we did, but it was wild. Getting back on track here. I don't want to get carried away. That was ancient history. Now that's happening all the time in the news with teachers seducing students. But luckily, like I said, I was 18. It wasn't like, it's really sad. Even for a guy, guys, it's a hip thing for guys, when you score, especially with an attractive older lady like that. Anyway, but certainly not cool when it's the reverse. I'm going to talk about some notable birthdays at the end of October and early November 2022. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I want to wind down the show. I've gone almost 2 hours already. Oh, shoot. I got some music I want to play as I talk about this with you. I'm really bad tonight, folks. I'm sorry. Here we go. Here's our standard. Gonna do some birthdays. Don't wait for me. Actor Richard Dreyfuss turned 75 back on October 29th. He was born on Wednesday, October 29th, 1947 in Brooklyn, New York. Richard Dreyfuss won the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1978 for The Goodbye Girl. At the time, the youngest ever actor aged 30 to win. Now, Patty Duke won it for The Miracle Worker back in 1962 or 61, so you never know how accurate this information is. Anyway, he was nominated for another Best Actor Oscar in 1995 for the movie Mr. Holland's Opus. Or Mr. Opus's Holland. Now, I'd seen him in TV in reruns on Nick at Night in a black and white season 2 episode of Bewitched, which aired originally back in 1965 on ABC TV, and he played a warlock named Rodney who was in love with Samantha Stevens, played by Elizabeth Montgomery. And he turned himself into a dog to avoid her husband Darren. The episode was titled Man's Best Friend, and it aired on ABC on May 12, 1966. Filmed 9 years before the movie Jaws was shot in 1974, released in 1975. The blockbuster Jaws, which put him on the map. By the way, Bewitched lasted 254 episodes over 8 full seasons on ABC, from Thursday, September 17th, 1964, at 9 p.m., until Saturday, July 1st, 1972, at 8 p.m. Let's see. I think I'll play a clip. What? I'll play. No, I'm not. In the interest of time. Well, I'm going to tell you a funny. I'm going to play for you rather a story of Richard Dreyfuss about filming Jaws. It's kind of a funny story. Let me get that for you now. It's right here. What's up? I'm just stalling, folks. He was also in a really underrated horror movie. It's in the background. You can't see it because the lights are out. Anyone watching on the YouTube channel, The Nostalgic PodBlast. But it was called Piranha 3D. And that came out in 2010. That's a hilarious horror comedy. I highly recommend it. It's very underrated. But let's listen to Richard Dreyfuss talking about, this is very brief, talking about filming Jaws. Let's see here. This is on the Rachel Ray show. God, I hope I don't get dinged. I've gotten hit hard by some of these talk shows. And, you know, I can't say as I blame them, but it sucks when that happens. Anyway, let's listen. Here's Richard Dreyfuss.
Well, Richard just made himself $10.
I'll tell you one story.
All right, tell me one.
We shot the film on Martha's Vineyard, and you could follow the progress of the film by the amount of radio mics there were all over the island,
right?
Even if you didn't care. And you heard, the shark is not working, the shark is not working.
Mechanical shark.
And the shark never worked, and Steven Spielberg had to reconceive the film because the shark never worked.
Bruce was broken.
Bruce would come up and go, and
Bruce would kill himself.
That's right. Because, unbeknownst to all of us, we were the first film ever to try to be made on the real ocean. No film had ever done it.
Really?
So, one day, you heard this. The shark is working. Repeat, the shark is working. Repeat, the shark is... The boat is sinking. The boat is sinking. And I was on that boat. And...
Did you take a whole lot of swim and scuba lessons before you went out to do this?
Not before, but after.
After you figured that.
And so on the boat was Robert Shaw, Roy Scheider, myself, a 70-year-old sound man with a $50,000 Nagra tape recorder, and the stunt coordinator who jumped to the wheel because our anchor had just come out of the floor of the ocean, and we were sinking in the Atlantic Ocean.
No, he came out of the closet.
He was trying to power the boat into Chappaquiddick Island, and all the time screaming, "This is the worst! This is the worst!"
Was Ted Kennedy there?
And Robert Shaw decided that if he was going to die that day, he was going to die neat. And he unfolded his cuffs, and he folded up here, and he took his hat, and he stood in the bow of the boat.
Very captain-like.
Waiting to be picked up, and Stephen was sending all these safety boats, you know, get the actors off the boat, get the actors off the boat. And
We don't have enough insurance.
I'm trying to help a 70-year-old sound man get his leg over the side, and Stephen's yelling, "Get the actors off the boat!" I said, "Stephen, he's 70 years old," and he said, "Like him, get the actors off the boat."
Okay. That wasn't so hilarious, but that was an interesting story. What a great actor he is. But I highly recommend Piranha 3D. And Greg Nicotero's production company for special effects did the effects for that movie. It was shot, I think, in New Mexico and many other spots, but primarily in the state of New Mexico, I believe. And it's just like the old Piranha movie. That was another good horror movie. We're going to talk about some good Halloween movies to watch during the Halloween season in a little bit. But I was going to play a trailer. In the interest of time of Piranha 3D, I won't do that. But I hope it's streaming somewhere you can check it out. Moving on to October 29th birthdays. Back on Friday, October 29th, 1948 in Birmingham, Alabama, Kate Jackson was born. She just turned 74. And she was supposed to be the ex-wife in Kramer versus Kramer. But that went to Meryl Streep because Aaron Spelling Productions and the network held her to a contract to be on Charlie's Angels. So that's why she quit the show, reportedly, because she was so upset she couldn't film that movie, Kramer versus Kramer. So, you know, I'm going to move along in my notes here in the interest of time and just recommend this TV movie she did. I think it was for Lifetime, but she was so wicked in it. It was called Empty Cradle. And it's revealed she's a woman that doesn't have a uterus, and she takes a baby from a hospital and tries to raise the baby as her own. And Lori Loughlin, the disgraced Lori Loughlin, formerly disgraced whatever, for that scandal where she got her kid into a prestigious Ivy League school, claiming she was a Roe rowing champion or something. She used privilege or whatever to get her kid into a school that supposedly her kid on her own merit didn't belong in. But she's best known, Lori Loughlin, from Full House. Well, before all that crap, she did this 1993 television movie directed by Paul Schneider, and it's really good. And Kate Jackson played the psycho. So anyway, if you ever see that movie, it's very well made. And it's all fiction. It's not real. But that happens all the time where some deranged person will try to kidnap a child. It's very, very sad. But these days, hopefully security is tight with cameras being everywhere where that can't happen. So happy belated birthday to Kate Jackson, who, of course, was in The Rookies before Charlie's Angels, which was a really pretty good cop show. And did you know that the original TV show SWAT, which stands for Special Weapons and Tactics, was a 2-hour episode of The Rookies, which aired on Monday, February 17th, 1975 on ABC. To my knowledge, it's never resurfaced. That 2-hour pilot, I've been looking for it forever. And I bought the DVD set of the original SWAT, which is on the air now on CBS for 7 years now or so, 6 or 7 years, depending on when you're listening to this show. Could be 7 years by now, but we'll talk about that in a sec, briefly. But Steve Forrest played Sergeant Daniel Harrelson, known as Hondo. That's his nickname. But in the current version, a black actor who's well known for soap operas plays that character. Shemar Moore, he's played the character for 7 years now, and that's okay. They made him black. That's okay. By the way, they meaning Disney, are making a Little Mermaid with a black actor playing the Little Mermaid, a black actress. And I have, of course, no issue with this. Because strictly, statistically speaking, many black people can't swim. So what better role model than the Little Mermaid to inspire children of color to learn how to swim? Now, I realize there are social and economic reasons which may hinder black children from learning how to swim. I don't think it's genetic or anything like that. I think access to a swimming pool is a factor. Economic factors, location. In no way am I ascertaining that it's genetic or racial. I really think a lot of people have pushed back, why do they have to make this character black? Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, and I don't think it's a bad thing, especially in this instance. I think it could encourage young people to take swimming lessons, and that's a good thing. That would keep them alive in the water. And again, I think it's mainly financial reasons and access, and hopefully that will change for the community. So happy 74th birthday to Kate Jackson. Now, birthday's back on October 30th. I'm just going to go through some briefly. Oh, I better play this clip real quick. This guy is well beloved. He's still alive. He's still with us. And he's short like me. Let me see. I thought I had a good clip of this for you now. When I'm fresh tomorrow, when I redo this show on YouTube Live, I'll be more on the ball with these clips, Why am I talking like that? Okay. Here we go. Let's just listen to a little clip of this guy in his best-known role, this actor.
Well, being president of a corporation, I'm going to have to wear a tie, maybe? A lot of paperwork? Maybe I should talk with a deeper voice.
You know who that is.
Hey! Fonz? Hey!
That's who it is. And happy 77th birthday to Henry Winkler, best known as the Fonz on Happy Days. And did you know that Winkler could not ride a motorcycle? The crew cheated the cycle riding shots by lowering the motorbike, by towing it with a truck and lowering it into camera range. Can you say poser? I knew that you could. No, but that's cool. Now I'm going to play a brief clip of Henry Winkler about the popularity of Fonzie. And this is from EmmyTVLegends.org. I just like this guy. I've met him at a collector show. It wasn't on a set, and he was super, super nice. In fact, I dropped a $20 bill, and he was, of course, honest. He goes, "You dropped something right there." And he pointed to the ground where a $20 bill had come out of my pocket. But I purchased an autograph from him. He's just so humble, such a nice guy, so talented. Let's listen to a little bit of
I understood also he spoke too much sometimes. They would write paragraphs for me, and I reduced language to sound. Hey. Whoa, which was my favorite sport at the time, which was horseback riding. Whoa, get over here. I think the thumb was written in, putting up the thumb. I think they wrote that. But I just, I reduced language to sound. You know, there was a scene where they wanted me to pray to God, to thank God for the meal I'm going to have with the Cunninghams. You know, well, look at the veggies, and we're sitting here together, the family, there's bread on the table. And I said, I promise you I can do this with one sound. I went, hey, God. Whoa. And I thought that said it pretty much, you know. And I had to fight for about an hour and a half with the producer at the time, who was also a preacher, that I was not being disrespectful, that was okay to do. You know, just, I meant it, you know.
There you go. Super nice guy. Let's see about Happy Days. Well, Happy Days aired on ABC TV, and originally it was a skit on Love American Style. And they retitled it Love and the Happy Day for syndication, but the original title of that segment of Love American Style was titled Love in the Television Set. And it was indeed a pilot back then for a show set in the 1950s, and ABC passed. Well, guess what happened at the movie theaters? American Graffiti was released, directed by George Lucas. It was a big hit. So then flash forward a few years after that, actually right around the time Love American Style was about to be canceled in 1974. But due to the success of American Graffiti, ABC suddenly was interested in the 1950s sitcom, and it was commissioned to be a weekly series and debuted on ABC on Tuesday, January 15th, 1974, and it ran a nice long run until Thursday, July 12th, 1984. 255 half-hour episodes were produced, as well as several spin-offs. And the first two seasons of Happy Days were filmed using a Bill Haley and the Comets song, Rock Around the Clock, as the main theme. Bill Haley and his Comets to be precise. And that original song was released way back on Thursday, May 20th, 1954. But in season 3, the sitcom changed direction. Instead of being filmed, it was now taped and filmed before a live studio audience. And a new TV theme song titled Happy Days, written by Norman Gimbel and the great Charles Fox, took over as the theme to Happy Days. Now, moving on in birthdays, on October 30th, back in 1939, Grace Slick was born. She's 83 now. Well, I'm not going to go into details. I had written some things for you, but we talked in greater detail last year. So let's move on to our next birthday. This is a heavenly birthday. Happy heavenly birthday to Ruth Gordon. She was born way back on Friday, October 30th, 1896 in Quincy, Massachusetts. A lot of people know her as Ma in the Every Which Way But Loose and Every Which Way You Can, the sequel, movies with Clint Eastwood and Jeffrey Lewis. And Jeffrey Lewis, by the way, is the deceased dad of Juliette Lewis. And you remember the orangutan? Of course you do. Right turn, Clyde. Ruth Gordon began her career performing on Broadway at the age of 19. She's known for her nasal voice and distinctive personality. She gained international recognition and critical acclaim for her film roles that continued into her age 70s and 80s. When she was that old, or young, depending on your outlook. Her later work included performances in Rosemary's Baby. You heard at the very top of the PodBlast a little tease to a television presentation of Rosemary's Baby before it went to the special CBS. By the way, that music, old Barry King taught me this. The music in the special. Dun, 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 do I have it here? I can play it. You know that music? That was from a Hawaii Five-0 episode. I think Morton Stevens might have scored that. He scored a lot of the Hawaii Five-0 episodes. I'm guessing on that. Don't hold me to that. But I'm going to, here it is. Gosh, yes, I have it, I think, pulled up right here. So you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Listen to this.
Rosemary's Baby, Saturday night at 11.
Right here. That's just an edited piece of music from Hawaii Five-0, as I just said. And what I really like that Disney Plus is doing, and our friends in the MCU, Marvel Comics Universe, for the streaming things, is they're having a special, and they do a throwback graphic to that CBS special. You remember the multicolored spinning words, letters special? The letter, the letters that form the word special. It was kind of a cool little graphic to go with that music. And the MCU people are doing that. They started with Werewolf by Night last Halloween, 2022. And they did a Guardians of the Galaxy special with that graphic in the holiday season. Actually, it's a Christmas special, holiday special for December 2022. It debuted on November 25th, 2022. That's the future as I'm live. I'm just, in case you're listening after the fact there. And I like that they did that throwback. But we got to get back on track with the birthdays, or I do rather. Some of her movies, other movies were, of course, Harold and Maude in 1971, Where's Papa in 1970, Whatever Happened to Aunt Alice in 1969. Why am I going backwards? Every Which Way But Loose that I mentioned, the aforementioned Every Which Way But Loose in 1978, and its sequel, Any Which Way You Can in 1980. And in addition to her acting career, Ruth Gordon wrote numerous plays, film scripts, and books, most notably co-writing the screenplay for the 1949 film Adam's Rib. And Ruth Gordon won an Oscar, a Primetime Emmy, and 2 Golden Globe Awards for her acting, as well as 3 Academy Award nominations for her writing, so she was multi-talented. She wore many hats. Boy, Harold and Maude was a bizarre, groundbreaking film, by the way. Ruth Gordon sadly expired back on Monday, August 28th, 1985, at the age of 88. Now let's go to the Halloween birthdays, and I'm going to do some self-editing as we're live here in the interest of time. On October 31st, of course, Halloween Day, John Candy, a great, great actor who's been gone many years now. He died at the age of 43 back in 1994. He was in SCTV, Second City Television, on TV before he got it big into the movies, and that was a Toronto branch of the Second City, which was also in Chicago and other places in North America. Some of his comedy films, of course, are the classic Stripes, National Lampoon's Vacation, Splash, directed by Ron Howard from Happy Days, and The Andy Griffith Show. By the way, I didn't realize until recently, I'm a television historian, if you will, amateur, unpublished. But he was in Ron Howard, The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis in season 1. He was in a few episodes right before the start of The Andy Griffith Show, which was a spinoff of The Danny Thomas Show, otherwise known as Make Room for Daddy and rerun syndication. But yeah, he was Ron Howard, among many other things. What a great guy he is. So, but we're talking John Candy. In addition to his work as an actor, he was the co-owner of the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League, or CFL. And the team won the 1991 Grey Cup under his ownership. So, yeah, just the great guy. I'm not going to play a clip in the interest of time, but yeah, he passed on Friday, March 4th, 1994, in Mexico of a heart attack. And he had a number of risk factors for a heart attack, including a strong family history, chain smoking. He smoked reportedly a pack of cigarettes a day, heavy alcohol use, and occasional use of cocaine. But he was a talented and reportedly a very kind man. And his funeral was held at St. Martin of Tours Catholic Church in Los Angeles, California. And his body rests at the Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City, California. United States of America, rest in peace to the great John Candy. Another birthday on October 31st, a Halloween birthday. Happy birthday to the University of Alabama football coach and former football defensive back Nick Saban, who turned 71. He was born in Fairmont, West Virginia on Wednesday, October 31st, 1951. And he earns reportedly $9.3 million per year. Go Dogs. 2022. They already won it all in 2021, the national championship. And as we talked about earlier tonight, before 2021, it was 1980 when Georgia won the national title, as most people know. Happy heavenly Halloween birthday to actor, writer, singer, and this has a Halloween connection in one of the films, the first film that put him on the map, and he was a singer too, and director, Michael Landon. He's been gone since 1991. His birth name was Eugene Maurice Orowitz. He was born on Halloween Day, Saturday, October 31st, 1936, in Forest Hills, Queens, New York. And being that Halloween baby that he was, it's fitting that Landon starred in I Was a Teenage Werewolf for Universal Pictures. I think I will play a clip of the trailer to I Was a Teenage Werewolf from 1957, and that's a film that Michael Landon was not proud of. When he would be on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, he would dread talking about it, and he didn't like when they would play a clip. But let me play a clip, just audio only, of course, of the trailer to I Was a Teenage Werewolf, since this is a Halloween show and all.
Help me, doctor, please! I know they're going to kiss me, but don't let anyone see me like that. Please, doctor, help me!
Michael Landon in a powerful performance as the boy possessed. Yvonne Lyne, appealing as the girl who loves him. Whit Bissell, unforgettable as the scientist maddened by the
Character actor
mystery
Whit
of the
Bissell.
werewolf. And Tony Marshall, a tough, friendly enemy.
These are official pictures?
Yes, Chief.
Slash on either side of the throat. You got any theories?
Fangs.
He was killed by a werewolf.
Panic penetrates every home.
Penetrates.
When this strange, unknown killer hits town. Taking hold of the teenage crowd. Coloring their practical jokes with hysterical humor that'll make you fall flat on your face. With horror.
Now, remember how wonderful it was when you sprang and suddenly dug in with your fangs, a soft throat, a gush of warm blood?
No! No! Nothing you've ever seen has such blood-chilling savagery. Nothing you've ever conceived packs such a spine-tingling jolt. This high school boy, a teenage werewolf. A constant threat of claw-ripping attack to everyone. To the brave and the beautiful.
There you go. I Was a Teenage Werewolf. So, the year that movie was released, in 1957, Candlelight Records released a Michael Landon single titled Give Me a Little Kiss, Will You, Huh? / Be Patient With Me, during the height of his notoriety for his role in that film, I Was a Teenage Werewolf. And he sang some other songs that were released as singles, including Linda Is Lonesome / Without You. All of Landon's singles have since been issued on compact disc by Bear Family Records as part of a Bonanza various artist compilation. Then, after I Was a Teenage Werewolf, at the age of 22, Michael Landon landed the role of Little Joe in Bonanza. And I talked about this in great detail last year, so we're going to move it along. And of course, I think he's probably best known for Little House on the Prairie. And I think the best episodes were the ones that he wrote and directed. There were several, usually 90-minute or 2-hour length episodes or two-parters that he wrote and directed. And he did some 1-hour ones as well. But I think I will mention that Little House. Let me just say something here real quick. Okay, well, Bonanza, going back, began on NBC on Saturday, September 12th, 1959 at 7:30 in the evening. And then at the start of 7/3, Bonanza was moved to Sunday night at 9 from September 1961 until the end, September 1972. Oh, wait. And then finally it was moved to Tuesdays. From May 1972 until January 16th, 1973, the last time that Bonanza aired in prime time on NBC. There were 431 new episodes that were filmed in color over 13 full television seasons for Bonanza. And most of the run, there were about 34 new episodes per year. Today, 22 or less is considered a full season. I think now it's 20 episodes is a full package of episodes per season, which is a joke. When you think there's about 52 weeks in the year. Of course, everyone deserves a summer off, 3 months off, but even then, that's a weak number of episodes. Anyway, excuse me. So right after Bonanza ended, Little House on the Prairie was a TV movie of the week of the same name, which aired on Saturday, March 30th, 1974. It was so popular that NBC commissioned a weekly series, which debuted on Wednesday, September 11th of all days, 1974 at 8 o'clock. And it ended as a weekly 1-hour series on Monday, March 21st, 1983, also at 8 p.m. Anyway, and there were some 90-minute episodes of Little House on the Prairie that were never rerun again due to length, because in reruns, it was a 1-hour time slot. Well, on Blu-ray, they finally released, and on DVD before that, but to be fair, but starting in 2013, for the first time ever, Little House on the Prairie was released in high definition on Blu-ray. I've got them all 9 seasons in the television movies, so whatever. And how about when Walnut Grove was blown up with dynamite? Yeah. Michael Landon's character blew up the town. And the last television movie was titled Bless All the Dear Children, which aired on December 17th, 1984. Now, last thing, I'm not going to play any clips. Got to move it along. He also had another hit show on NBC, Highway to Heaven. Started September 18th, 1984. Again, pretty much right after the end of Little House on the Prairie. Just like Bonanza, he just went right into another series. That aired Wednesday nights at 8. And then they moved it to 9 o'clock and then back to 8 again, blah, blah, blah. And it lasted for 5 seasons, just like Fall Guy, with 111 weekly episodes. Same number as Fall Guy, if you count air date. I go by air date and story. I have a different system for numbering episodes in a series. Anyway, we got to get back to Halloween stuff here. I'm going off course. The weekly series of Highway to Heaven ended on Friday, August 4th, 1989, with an episode titled Merry Christmas from Grandpa. And Cozy TV airs both Highway to Heaven and Little House on the Prairie. And it streams on Peacock, the official NBC Xfinity Comcast streaming service. So there we go. And last year I played some clips of him in his last interview, May 9th, 1991, just 2 months before he passed away in that year of pancreatic cancer. It was really sad. He died Monday, July 1st, 1991. And he's sadly missed, but he's greatly remembered. Another Halloween birthday, comedian Rob Schneider. He turned 59. He was born on Thursday, October. Of course, it's October. I need to get some sleep, folks. Rob Schneider was born on Thursday, October 31st, Halloween Day, 1963 in San Francisco, California. He's a former kindergarten teacher. Did you know that? And an ex-school board president. Marvin Schneider. All right, I'm going to move along. I'm losing it. But I love The Water Boy. A lot of folks don't care for that movie, but I used to work in the water business for Crystal Springs. Anyway, spring water and distilled water and drinking water. I learned a lot about the dangers of tap water. I've not had tap water since 1997, believe it or not. I've been drinking bottled water ever since. And it makes you feel great. I'm telling you, it keeps you healthy too. Spring water, or at least filtered water. Don't drink tap municipal water. Don't do it. There's a lot of dangers. Cryptosporidium, which is a parasite. I'm digressing way off course. But this is a Halloween show. I mean, it will cause malaria-like symptoms if you get that parasite in your system, Cryptosporidium. There have been outbreaks all over the country of that in municipal or city water. Horrible stuff. Let me see here. Rob Schneider. Okay. I'm not going to play that clip of Waterboy. Okay, another Halloween birthday. Director Peter Jackson was born on Halloween Day in 1961. He just turned 61. He was born in New Zealand. And of course, he's known not only for his take on the Lord of the Rings movies, and books, but King Kong. I liked his take on King Kong on the big screen. Oh, God, this guy, he's a bit controversial. Vanilla Ice. Talked about him earlier. He's 55. He was born on Halloween Day, 1967, which was a Tuesday. Born in Dallas, Texas. I saw him on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. He played the game pretty well. Astronaut Michael Collins was born on Halloween Day, back in 1930 in Rome, Italy. And he flew the Apollo 11 Command Module Columbia around the moon in 1969. While his crewmates Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin made the first crewed landing on the surface of the moon. I don't want to hear conspiracy theorists. I believe it happened. I believe in science. I do. I could go on and on about Michael Collins. Let's move along, though. Another big Halloween birthday, in my opinion, Brian Doyle Murray, the older brother of Bill Murray. He turned double numerals at age 77 with a birth date. He was born on October 31st, 1945 in Evanston, Illinois. Now think about it, 77. You only have 9 times in your life that you get a double age, if you're lucky to live that long. Double ones at 11, double twos at 22, double threes at 33, double fours at 44, double nickels at 55, double sixes at age 66, double sevens, lucky 7, at age 77, double eights at 88, double Ds at Dolly Parton. That's a bad joke, folks, sorry. And double nines at the age 99. I guess the next thing you could try for is triples, like triple ones, as in 111 years old, 111 years old, 111, wow. But, funny guy Brian Doyle Murray acted with his little brother Bill in Caddyshack, Scrooged, Ghostbusters 2, Groundhog Day, and Razor's Edge. And who could forget him as Clark Griswold's boss in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? I couldn't. It was a great performance. But I like him in a really bad movie I'm going to mention later on in the show titled Modern Problems, which starred Chevy Chase, which was released on Christmas Day in 1981. So it's 41 years old. And he played a guy in a wheelchair in that movie. It's a funny movie. And he did stand-up comedy. I had a clip from 1974 I played last year. And, of course, his voice work in Family Guy is awesome. So, happy belated birthday to Halloween birthday, Brian Doyle Murray. Lee Grant, she's another Halloween birthday. She was born back in 1925 in New York, New York. She's 97 years old. She was born on a Saturday, on Halloween Day, back in 1925. Gone, but remembered forever is Barbara Bel Geddes from Dallas as the mama, Miss Ellie Ewing. She was on that show from 1978 until 1990. She was born on a Tuesday on Halloween Day in 1922 in Northeast Harbor, Maine. Again, we're mentioning the state of Maine. My personal story about seeing the dead body and a lot of celebrity stories. Interesting. Okay. Didn't plan it that way. Now, by the way, she got critical acclaim for a second season episode of Dallas from 1978, in which her character had a double mastectomy in a very special episode of Dallas. I do want to play this clip. Let me pull this up for you. Another birthday, Deidre Hall. And by the way, they have Hollywood collector shows at Burbank, California, Burbank Marriott. And in October of 2022, they had one. And there's a famous picture of Barbara Eden, who's in her 90s. She was at the show signing autographs, taking pictures, and Deidre Hall. And there's a picture of them together that's made the rounds on social media. Maybe you saw it. And you can tell it was touched up a little bit. You know, they put a little filter on it, but you can't blame them. But Deidre Hall, I can't believe she's 75. God bless her. And she played Marlena on Days of Our Lives. A lot of you soap opera fans know that. It's pretty common knowledge. But she was on Electra Woman and Dinah Girl before that. It only lasted 8 episodes in 1976, part of Sid and Marty Krofft's Saturday morning live action shows. But I do want to play this classic theme song. Where the hell is it? I'm going to move this along, get back to the Halloween stuff. Here it is. Let's listen to this. I love this theme. I'm a weirdo about television music. I like normal music too, traditional music. But by the way, this show is going to go exclusively to Peacock streaming. It's Days of Our Lives, as that just gave away.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. This is MacDonald Carey, and these are the days of our lives.
So, it began in 1965, Days of Our Lives on NBC. I know that things change, technology advances, but I don't like that. As a TV freak, admitted TV freak. I don't like seeing that history go to streaming only. Less people have access to it. It's a ploy to get subscriptions and boost subscriptions for Peacock. I get it. It just seems a little underhanded. Because who's watching soap operas? It's usually older folks, that maybe can't afford it or don't have it or don't keep up with the times or think, I can't get streaming. You mean I got to watch it on my phone? No, you watch it on your television. It's called a USB port. Doesn't matter if your TV is a smart TV or not. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I digress. But, of course, Deidre Hall is best known for playing Marlena on Days of Our Lives, and she just turned 75. She was born on Friday, October 31st, Halloween Day, 1947 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the cheap beer is made. But I know her for Electric Woman and Dinah Girl, as I said. I'm going to play a clip of that theme song right fast, quick. I'm losing my voice. I got to wrap this up. Yeah, this is that. Oh, shit. I'm not going to play the clip. And I ain't going to say why, but I'm not going to play it. All right, so the Electric Woman Dinah Girl show, I won't be long about this. It was like a take on Batman. It was a Saturday morning version of the Adam West Batman show with little cliffhangers. Each segment was about 12 minutes, and they would have the resolution in that same episode of the Croft Super Show. Let me see here. There we go. So happy belated birthday to Deidre Hall. She did other things like Our House in 1986 with Wilford Brimley, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's move on along here. This is a heavenly birthday on Halloween. Dale Evans, Roy Rogers' wife, the love of his life, one of his wives. But she was born on Halloween Day back in 1912, which was a Thursday. And I went into great detail last year, so I'm not going to rehash that. Her birth name is Lucille Wood Smith, Dale Evans. So, and she was a singer. Another Halloween birthday actress, Sally Kirkland, turned 81. She was born Halloween Day, 1941 in New York City. She was in a Great Hulk episode with Bill Bixby. I talk about that show ad nauseum because She-Hulk sort of revived interest in that classic show in the season 1 finale of She-Hulk, where they did a take on the opening of the Incredible Hulk show. But Sally Kirkland was an episode titled A Child in Need, which was shot during the first season. The network didn't air it till season 2 of the Incredible Hulk. Anyway, it was a very special episode about child abuse. It was a real good one. Former Atlanta Brave Fred McGriff turned 59 on Halloween Day 2022. He was born in Tampa, Florida on Halloween Day 1963, which was a Thursday. I'll never forget, quick personal story, being in St. Louis, Missouri in 1993, the year they had terrible floods in St. Louis, visiting my grandpa, watching the Braves game on television, and the press box caught fire at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And there was a shot of Fred McGriff looking on as the flames were in the background. It was on the news, and I'm like, oh, my God. I was watching with my grandpa and my mom. I'm like, my God, that stadium's on fire. All right, now let's move on to November 1st birthdays. Jenny McCarthy, she turned 50. She was born on Wednesday, November 1st, 1972. The lead singer of Red Hot Chili Peppers, Anthony, was born November 1st, 1962 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He just turned 60. Lyle Lovett turned 65 on November 1st, 2022. He was born Friday, November 1st, 1957 in Houston, Texas, as we're live Houston's in the World Series against the Philadelphia Phillies. And they were defeated by the Atlanta Braves in 2021. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, so I was happy to see the Braves win their first World Series title since 1995 in 2021 over Houston. All right, so Lyle Lovett, remember when when he married Julia Roberts after meeting her on the set of the movie called The Player, and following a 3-week romance, they eloped and married in June 1993 in Marion, Indiana. In March 1995, they divorced after less than 2 years of marriage. People magazine reported their breakup was caused by career demands. They remained friends afterwards. Okay, moving along. Another heavenly birthday. I'm not going to go on and on with this. Larry Flint. Our friend Jim Gossett, newsmakerline.com. He's an expert impressionist. He does a funny impression of Larry Flint. But he was born November 1st, 1942 in Lakeville, Kentucky. And, of course, he was shot and crippled here in Georgia, in Lawrenceville, Georgia, in 1978. He died February 10th, 2021 at the age of 78. Hey, that's the year he shot, 78. No, that's not funny. It's not, no, I'm not going to. endorse that. Okay, heavenly birthday to Marcia Wallace, born in Iowa on Sunday, November 1st, 1942. She passed away at the age of 70 on Friday, October 25th, 2013 from pneumonia and other causes. Of course, she was in the Bob Newhart Show, right? Among other things. Got to move along here. Let's get back to the horror. This is a Halloween show. She missed it by one day. Betsy Palmer was born on Monday, November 1st, 1926. She just missed Halloween. I'll explain in a second. You know who she is, though. A lot of you do. Betsy Palmer was born in East Chicago, Indiana. Who's she? Well, I'm not going to play a clip. I played it last time. She played Pamela Voorhees, Jason's mom, in the first Friday the 13th. She was the crazy lady that was whacking all those teenagers at Camp Crystal Lake. Kill her, Mommy, kill her. Anyway, she died in real life with her head intact because her character was beheaded, fittingly, on a Friday. On Friday, May 29th, 2015, at the age of 88. But she was gorgeous in the 1950s and 60s, as I've said in previous nostalgic PodBlast episodes. She was on shows like I've Got a Secret, that plays on Buzzer, which is a great classic television show network. They don't really play much anymore. These are kinescopes, which back in the 50s, these were live shows. And to the novice out there, they would film a monitor, like a live monitor for the studio audience, like a TV. Someone on film, and Jackie Gleason would do this all the time with his Jackie Gleason show, which the segments of The Honeymooners became lost episodes, unquote. He knew where they were the whole time. They were in his vault at home. It was part of his retirement fund, not that he needed a fund. Jackie Gleason was loaded, always had been since he was in the entertainment business. He hit it big early on. But that's what a kinescope is. It's literally a film recording of a live video monitor to capture a live broadcast in those primitive days. Here's another good one. I'm going to play a live version of a song. Bill Anderson turned 85 back on November 1st, 2022. He was born November 1st, 1937 in Columbia, South Carolina. He's a country music singer, songwriter, record producer, and he was raised in Decatur, Georgia. And he began composing songs when he was in high school. While enrolled in college, Bill Anderson wrote the song City Lights, which later became a major hit for Ray Price back in 1958. But I know him from a restaurant. He started a restaurant named after a song I'm going to play for you, Po Folks, which became Folks Southern Kitchen, which is now no more, sadly. That restaurant chain died in 2021, a while back. But let me play this song, Po Folks, for you. I pulled this clip. This is a live version. I think this will be okay with the bots, the robots that look for material to censor and mute. Yeah, let's play this song here. This is the great Bill Anderson. This is a cool country song. Po Folks.
There's a whole lot of people looking down their noses at me, 'cause I didn't come from a wealthy family. There was 10 of us living in a two-room shack on the banks of the river by the railroad track. We kept chickens in a pen in the bank, and everybody said we was poor folks. My daddy was a farmer, but all he ever raised was us. He dug a 40-foot well and hid 36 gallons of dust. The Salvation Army gave us clothes to wear. A man from the county came to cut our hair. We lived next door to a millionaire, but we wanted nothing except poor folks. We was poor folks living in a rich folks world. We sure was a hungry bunch. If a wolf had ever come to our front door, he'd have had to brought a picnic lunch. My granddaddy's pension was $1.33. That was $10 less than the landlord wanted for rent. The landlord's letters got nasty indeed. He wrote, "Get out," but Paul couldn't read, and we was too broke to even pay heed. But that's how it is when you're poor folks. living in a rich folks world. We sure was a hungry bunch. If a wolf had ever come to our front door, he'd have had to brought a picnic lunch. But we had something in our house money can't buy. Kept us warm in the winter, cool when the sun was high. But whenever we didn't have food enough and the howling winds would get pretty rough, we'd patch the cracks and we set the table with love. 'Cause that's what you do when you're poor folks, and we wasn't nothing but poor folks. My mama and my daddy was poor folks. My brother and my sister was poor folks. My dog and my cat was poor folks. And if you bought gasoline this week, you're poor folks.
Happy 85th birthday to Bill Anderson. That po folks had the best fried chicken, award-winning blue ribbon fried chicken, and the best sweet tea, which is a Southern thing. United States of America. So, yeah, the Po Folks was named after that song, which is a 1961 hit song. And then they had changed it later down the line, like I said, to Folks Southern Kitchen. Anyway, I talked a lot about him, and so let's move it along. We're almost done with the birthdays, and we'll get back to the Halloween fun stuff as we wrap up this edition of The Nostalgic PodBlast. I'm your host, Chance Bartels, talking about November 2nd birthdays right now. Real briefly, David Schwimmer was born on November 2nd, 1966. He's 56 years old as of 2022. Who are we talking about? Yeah, we're talking about the guy from Friends, best known as Friends. And he did other things, too. He played Robert Kardashian in The People vs. O.J. Simpson, in which he received his second Primetime Emmy Award nomination, this time for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Limited Series or Movie. So that's cool. Heavenly birthday, also on November 2nd, artist Steve Ditko. He was born on Wednesday, November 2nd, 1927, in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And he drew Spider-Man and Doctor Strange in the 1960s. In the Marvel Comics. I think he left Marvel in 1966. He sadly died at the age of 90 on Friday. And Friday the 29th, 2018. I didn't say the month. Let me look it up right fast quick. I've got to put that. I can't believe I didn't put the month down. Dummy. You big dummy. And he was in the U.S. Army, by the way. He enlisted on Friday, October 26th, 1945. So he was a brave man. Let me look up. He died on a Friday in 2018. Let me just look that up right fast, quick. I'm talking like a redneck right now. Let's see. Mr. Steve Ditko. Listen how loud I type. I get grief all the time everywhere I go, and I should because I type so loud. June 29th, 2018, sadly. He passed away. So continuing on with the show. It's my poor man's impression of the great Ed Sullivan. Here's a living legend, Stephanie Powers. She turned 80 on November 2nd, 2022. She was born on Monday, November 2nd, 1942 in Hollywood, California. A lot of people say she's best known for Heart to Heart, but I know her from the $6 Million Man in season 3 and 4 of that show and the Secret of Bigfoot episodes. She actually acted with both actors that played Bigfoot on the $6 Million Man. We're talking about the great wrestler Andre the Giant in season 3. And then Ted Cassidy took over that role as Bigfoot in season 4 of the $6 Million Man and in the season 2 premiere of the Bionic Woman spinoff when Andre the Giant wasn't available. And Ted Cassidy's best known as bad impression of Lurch, the original Lurch, in The Addams Family on television on ABC from 1964 to 1966 and after. Also, happy heavenly birthday to our favorite Martian and Mr. Hand in the movies, Ray Walston. He was born on Monday, November 2nd, 1914 in Laurel, Mississippi. And he played Uncle Martin in My Favorite Martian from 1963 to 1966. He died of lupus on Monday, January 1st, 2001 at age 86. He was 86th at age 86, sadly. And he was in Seventh Heaven in more recent years before he died. And just a really strong personality. He's in The Incredible Hulk. My Favorite Magician was the name of the Hulk episode in season 3 of that show. He was reunited with Bill Bixby as co-star on My Favorite Martian. Keith Emerson, man, great keyboard artist from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. He was born on Thursday, November 2nd, 1944 in England. Passed away on Friday, March 11th, 2016 at age 71 from a gunshot wound to the head. The medical examiner ruled his death a suicide and concluded he also suffered from heart disease and from depression associated with alcohol. What a waste of God-given talent. So that finally concludes this episode's birthdays on the Nostalgic PodBlast. And no, I've not been snorting Amy Winehouse's ashes. It's the coffee, folks. 4:43 a.m. and I'm still drinking coffee. I just took my last swig of the coffee that I had prepared. God, that's stupid. Getting back to the Halloween side of things. Almost said Hollywood. The Halloween side of things. It's time for our nostalgic treat of the week, and this time it's candy corn, which has been really blasted lately in the media, including this quick article. I'm going to read a little piece from a New York Post article from journalist Aaron Keller, like Helen Keller, K-E-L-L-E-R. Aaron, spelled with a E, E-R-I-N. Aaron Keller wrote, real snotty article here. If you already don't like candy corn, this video won't change your mind. If you still like the Halloween treat after seeing what goes into making it, and that is even scarier. What a B word. A resurfaced video produced by Business Insider, which is a BS source, I might add. They have had lie after lie. Anyway, I won't go there. But a resurfaced video produced by Business Insider, which is affiliated with MSN, and with Bill Gates, shows that candy corn may actually be a trick, not a treat after all. Aren't you clever? Aaron. The seasonal snack isn't just made of sugar. It's actually made up of many ingredients, including corn syrup, confectioner's glaze, salt, dextrose, gelatin, sesame oil, artificial flavor, honey, and 3 different food colorings. This type of crap is why there's no more certs. Because of cottonseed oil. Oh, it's so dangerous. It's such a threat. That's why the U.S. Congress banned certs from being produced because of cottonseed oil back in 2018. I friggin' love certs. They're two mints in one, but I digress. Let me get back to her stupid article here. These may not seem too abnormal for candy, because after all, I'm paraphrasing here, candy is Satan. But it's worth noting that gelatin is a protein derived from animal parts like hides and bones. So no, candy corn is not vegan friendly. But it's the next ingredient that may have many reaching for a barf bag. Candy corn's slick outside coating is made from a secretion from tiny red Asian insects called lac bugs, spelled L-A-C, lac bugs. The ingredient also causes candy corn to turn hard, unlike my lover, and be left in open bowels throughout the Halloween season. Wow. That's all I got to say about that. Let's talk about the origin of candy corn. And full disclosure, because I'm going to talk about this in my rant of the week. Full disclosure, this is from Wikipedia. Chicken feed was the original name of candy corn, with production starting in the late 1880s. It was first invented in the 1880s by Wonderlay Candy Company, and that's spelled W-U... Wundrle Candy Company, and an employee of that company named George Renninger was the first to produce that candy in 1988. That goes way back, folks. The Goelitz Confection Company, that's spelled Goelitz, the Goelitz Confectionery Company, now called Jelly Belly. We all know what Jelly Belly is. We've seen Jelly Belly candies on the shelves. Began manufacturing the product in 1898. While Jelly Belly still makes candy corn, the largest manufacturer of candy corn is the Brock's Confections Company, owned by Ferrara Candy Company. I love Brock's candy corn. Brock's makes approximately 7 billion pieces of candy corn per year and possesses 85% of the total share of the candy corn industry during the Halloween season. I used to love in grocery stores, and I've posted about this in the Nostalgic PodBlast Facebook group, those little kiosks, the original kiosk, not a machine kiosk, just a physical stand of different candies. And you could get samples. There would be basically the honor system. There'd be a jar you'd put change in, or you'd weigh like a paper bag, a sack full of candy. It's kind of like the unofficial year-round Halloween back then, because everybody cheated, unfortunately. But Brock's makes the best candy corn. Along with other agriculture-inspired treats at that time in the late 19th century, America's candy makers sought to market candy corn to a largely rural society, meaning the Deep South. During the late 19th century, buttercream candies molded into many types of nature-inspired shapes, including chestnuts, turnips, and clover leaves, which were quite popular. But what made candy corn stand out was its bright and iconic tri-color layering of white, orange, and yellow. Although it's currently most popular in the fall, candy corn was not always associated with the fall and Halloween season. For the first half of the 20th century, candy corn was a well-known penny candy or bulk confectionery. I'm laughing at me too, folks, believe me. And it was advertised as an affordable and popular treat that could be eaten all year round. Candy corn developed into a fall and Halloween staple around the 1950s when people began to hand out individually wrapped candy to trick-or-treaters. The harvest-themed colors and increased advertising in October also helped candy corn become that fall staple of candy. By the way, the National Confectioners Association has deemed October 30th, the day before Halloween, as National Candy Corn Day. There's always a national something day. It's getting old. Now, item. It's time for my fake rant of the week. I've got a few, and I'm going to be brief. We're at the very end of the show, folks. Thanks for bearing with me. Item. Here's my fake rant one. I'm one of the few suckers that still has not cut the cord, even though I do stream a lot of programming and entertainment through Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime. Well, I have not cut the cord yet for various reasons. Xfinity has a great internet service. It's really the fastest for the price. And no, they're certainly not a sponsor, not the way I talk about them and other things. But I'm a longtime customer of theirs, and their internet is great. And I still have a landline I need for the show, for calls and stuff. So when I do get calls, which is rare, because I'm usually on in the middle of the night. But I had a cable box of Xfinity's die in my bedroom. I have several throughout the house, but the one in the bedroom died, and it sucks because I had programming recorded from way back in 2015 when I first got that box. And so you're forced to upgrade to a box called the X1 platform, cable TV box. I'm going to be brief because most of you have cut the cord and you're like, why the hell are you wasting my time with cable television talk? This isn't 1979 anymore. Well, anyway, I just want to mention that my dumbass is still tugging the cable umbilical cord, as I said. Well, the stupid X1 platform, which Al Hardy loves, by the way, my sometimes co-host, one of the co-hosts, it requires a lengthy daily update, which is bullcrap. So if you're in the middle of watching something or recording something, it will automatically shut down. The old box didn't do that. The advantage of the X1 platform is you can record more things on the DVR and it goes into a cloud, supposedly. So you'll never lose your data or your recordings if the machine goes bad. Like I lost so much stuff I hadn't yet converted to DVD. I'm old school. I like to convert things. I'm just a weirdo like that. And I didn't get a chance to before this thing went bad, the old machine. So I just don't like the X1 flat platform machine for that reason, because of that daily update. It's just, it sucks. And also I don't like the menu. It's not designed well. And this is a side rant. Who the hell writes the description for movies and TV shows for cable companies, whether it's AT&T, Uverse, or Xfinity? Ever notice how sometimes the ratings for a movie are way off? There always are like stars or recommendations for each movie. And I'm talking about a star system where a total bore of a movie will have a 4 or 5 star rating, with 5 being the top, that you know damn well is like a 2-star flick. And the reverse. You may see a movie that is great. I just don't understand who writes the descriptions. The descriptions also are very poorly written in many cases. Anyway, but that's a side rant. So I don't like the X1 platform, and it's not a matter of getting used to it. I'm serious. It's just a bad design, and it's a little too much detail. Let's go on to rant 2, because I'm sure I lost a lot of people out there. It's just a dumb thing to rant about. But here's another rant, and this is not directed at anyone. There's a lot of people that I do like and respect that do this, but you can tell when people on a radio show or podcast, you can tell who's copying and pasting from Wikipedia like a robot. Like they never edit or add their own thoughts or ideas to the information. Case in point, a dead giveaway when someone is simply reading from Wikipedia, straight up reading, is when you hear so-and-such was an American songwriter, actor, athlete, etc. Was an American. I mean, that's a kind of a given with a lot of these cases. And Wikipedia is an international database. So that's why it's always written is an American, was an American. When you hear that or see that in print even, you know they're just copying and pasting the information from Wikipedia. And it just irks me. Let's see. Raul Julia was an American actor best known for the Addams Family movies of the 1990s. Okay, that's a clue you're dealing with a plagiarist. Now here's a bonus rant, and then we're going to move along. We're concluding the show in just a sec. A couple minutes here. This bonus rant is against both CBS and their streaming service Paramount Plus. Well, Paramount Plus recently removed all the past episodes of pretty much every CBS show they have on Paramount Plus that's new in production, particularly The Talk. And the only thing they left up was their current season. And this sucks because, now, laugh all you like, but that show, The Talk, has some pretty good guests on occasion. And when Leslie Jordan died, I tried to find a funny recent interview he did in July 2022, which technically was from the past season. And it's gone. It was up until maybe a month ago. All the past episodes had every season available. Now it's freaking gone. And that pissed me off. Same with other CBS network shows like The Price is Right. Now, you might be thinking, who cares about watching a past season of The Price is Right? What a dweeb. Well, here's my point. The last season of The Price is Right was the 50th anniversary of the start of the Bob Barker era of The Price is Right on CBS, which started back in 1972. And yes, I know that Bill Cullen was the original host of The Price is Right back in the late 50s and early 60s on NBC, and then later on ABC in 1963. But I'm talking about the Bob Barker, Drew Carey CBS version here. For the 50th anniversary, last season only, it was a limited edition game. It was a neat game specifically for that season where a contestant was shown an actual item from 1972. And then the announcer would read the actual written copy the original announcer of The Price is Right, Johnny Olson, read in 1972. And so the contestant with a range had to guess the price of that particular item. And it was kind of unique. And I wanted to go back and look at some, and they're gone. They only have the current season of The Price is Right. Bastards. So that's irritating. And, you know, you pay for Paramount Plus, and we had access until recently. So that's just two examples. I haven't researched it. I'm sure it's across the board too. In terms of CBS shows on Paramount Plus that are currently in production, they've wiped out the library and access to the library of previous shows, which blows. Another little mini gripe of The Price is Right. They have a pregnant model, and I'm not against pregnant women. Believe me, this is not a misogynist. Just hear me out. Hear me out. They have a pregnant model, and I'm talking very preggers. I'm talking about to pop pregnant, out there waving her hands at Rice-A-Roni and new cars and shit. And to me, that's just weird. Not to mention they have an Australian dude model. Now, that makes sense from a demographic standpoint. Who's sitting at home eating bonbons watching The Price is Right? Primarily women. And then me on Paramount Plus after the fact at night, because I'm a game show geek, among many other things I'm a geek about. So I get it. It makes sense that they have a male model. They have a couple male models. And, you know, I'm just used to the Barker beauties. You know, I guess I'm just an old fart that's needing to keep up and evolve a little bit. But it's just weird seeing a guy model and a very, 8-month pregnant lady, you know, and it used to be like, and they have, I'm going to stop right there because I sound like a real a-hole. And I'm probably not making friends saying this, but you have to see it. I mean, she's like huge. Just weird. And I'm not a fattest, okay? I don't get me wrong. Another little mini rant. Drew Carey. He sleepwalks through the show. He's hosting it with the personality of a dead bush. Okay, I got to admit, I stole that line from Modern Problems, the movie we talked about previously on Brian Doyle Murray's birthday when I talked about that. Released in Christmas 1981. But that movie with Chevy Chase, it was the one where he got mental powers and mental telepathy from a nuclear waste bath when he's driving his car behind a tanker truck, a fuel truck that's leaking supposed nuclear waste. Anyway, the great Dabney Coleman played a phony Southern author and motivational speaker, like a Dr. Phil type dick character in that movie. Not that Dr. Phil's a dick, don't misunderstand. I'm just saying he is literally like a Dr. Phil type. He's an author, except he's a dick in the movie, his character, Dabney Coleman. And he had a funny line in that movie. You see that? There's no concentration at all. He's got the personality, but dead bush. That line always stuck with me. So anyway, but that's how Drew Carey is. I like him. He's talented. He was a Marine. He served this country, and he's an entrepreneur. And by all accounts, a really good person, but he's just not a very good host. I mean, he's even said in a recent interview on The Talk, he's like, I show up maybe 15 minutes before taping and they put on makeup and I'm good to go. And I go, buddy, you need to have a little bit of the charm that Bob Barker did. I know your contract isn't going anywhere. You're making the big bucks. You're fine. But it shows you're a little overconfident in your position as the host of The Price is Right. I'm just saying. So that's my nostalgic rant or rants of the week. Now, getting back to the Halloween side of things, the nostalgic word or expression of the week is spook. S-P-O-O-K. And here's the origin of the word spook. Spook comes from the Dutch word for apparition or specter. The noun was first used in English around the turn of the 19th century. And over the next few decades, it developed in other forms like the word spooky, spookish, and of course the verb to spook or to scare. Got another one for you. This is an expression that's becoming a bit cliche. Here it is. To the moon and back. As in, I love you to the moon and back. Well, to my knowledge, the great Dolly Parton really made that phrase well known in the 2012 movie Joyful Noise, which, full disclosure, I worked on and played one of Dolly's sons in one little scene, but a big scene at the beginning of the movie, funeral scene, supposedly of my character's dad, played by Chris Christopherson. The director, Todd Graff, thought I resembled Chris Christopherson, who played, he was in the movie just in a couple scenes, including To the Moon and Back, which was like a music video in that film. And it was a great duet. And the Dolly Parton, the lovely and talented Dolly Parton, was so funny in that movie, and she had great chemistry with Queen Latifah, real name Dana Owens, in some very powerful scenes. The movie made money. It made millions, but it wasn't a huge hit. I don't think it's been very widely seen, but that song has been shown online on YouTube, To the Moon and Back. And I'm going to talk briefly about the origin of that expression of that slogan, to the moon and back. I love you to the moon and back. But now I'm just seeing it all the time on social media, and it's not really a rant. I mean, it's a great, great expression, and it's always used beautifully when I see it in social media from friends of mine and acquaintances. But I found this passage in my research for this edition of the Nostalgic PodBlast about to the moon and back. Another partial origin story for the phrase, I love you to the moon and back, may be in the popular children's book titled Guess How Much I Love You by author Sam McBratney, spelled M-C-B-R-A-T, like brat, N-E-Y. And it was published in 1994. Guess How Much I Love You is a modern children's classic that tells the story of two plush rabbits. And I love rabbits. I have a pet rabbit that I found. It's a little rescue. She's so cute. Anyway, it's the story of two plush rabbits, a father and a child. In the book, Little Nut Brown Hare, H-A-R-E, like a rabbit, and Big Nut Brown Hare boast about how much they love one another. Little Nut Brown Hare insists that he loves his father as high as he can jump and as far as he can reach. Big Nut Brown Hare, however, insists that he loves his child even more. He eventually tells his son that he loves him, quote, to the moon and back, unquote, reassuring him that he loves him so much that it can't be contained or measured. While the book might not be the first place in which the phrase appeared, it certainly helped to popularize it in the 20th century. And in the 21st century, the century we're in now, depending on when you're listening to this, the Nostalgic PodBlast, the movie Joyful Noise and Dolly Parton took that phrase to a whole nother level. I think Dolly's song is what really made that phrase so popular on social media and in pop culture, because she's so popular and beloved. And it's a great song to boot. And it's one of the best parts of the soundtrack in the movie, The Joyful Noise. Joyful Noise, directed by Todd Graff. And she was so sweet to me on set. We did one scene. I'm right next to her. You can look on YouTube if you want. I doubt anyone will look. But it's on my personal YouTube channel, Chance Acting Demo, like demonstration, D-E-M-O. And Clark Gable, I ain't. I can see why I never made it as an actor. The camera hates my ugly ass. But that is an underrated movie. Like I said, Dana Owens, Queen Latifah's in it. So is Keke Palmer, who basically, by the way, she sang the national anthem in Houston in 2021 at the World Series against the Braves, who won the World Series that year. And she hosts Password, the NBC version that is executive produced by Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, I get confused with Kimmel. Fallon. And Chris Christopher's in it. As I mentioned, he played my character's dad. And I'm one of 4 sons, by the way. I don't mean to make it sound like it's just, but it is me and Dolly in the shot, in the scene. I just have one line, amen, along with everybody else. But it's a memorable little scene. I'm acting my heart out, but man, I'm ugly. Blown up on the big screen, I was horrified. Horrified at how I look. Anyway. And also in the cast is Jeremy Jordan as Dolly's grandson. He was one of the main characters, and that actor was also on, I don't know if he still is, but he was on Supergirl, which was on CBS and now CW Network. And Joyful Noise had superb music. Some quick background is distributed by Warner Brothers, released January 13th, 2012. It's 2 hours long, 118 minutes. The budget was $25 million. It made $31.2 million. So it made money. And hopefully in home video in that market it did as well, too. You're like, what's that? What's home video? Mentioned this on previous PodBlasts. Walt Disney Company has publicly stated that their original streaming series, at least for the MCU Marvel Comics universe, will never, at least for the foreseeable future, quote unquote, be released in home video formats like Blu-ray and DVD. And that's a shame because I have all the movies on Blu-ray. I'm a big Marvel nut. Long-time Marvel comic book collector, reader, still am. But let's move along here. Item, the TV cliche of the week. Now, at first we started this segment with the fellas as a line in a TV show that's totally cliche, and I'm going to do a line of dialogue. I'm not on drugs. Sounds like it. I'm on coffee. Like I said, I did not snort Amy Winehouse's ashes. Okay, I've already told that joke tonight. But I do have a line of dialogue, which is a total cliche from going back to pretty much vaudeville. Ready for it? And sometimes I'll do a nostalgic a cliche concept of the week on television, like I did one on amnesia, where someone's hit on the head, they forget who they are, and then they're hit on the head again, and they remember everything. And I think that goes back to like the cartoons of Warner Brothers and MGM. That's where that comes from, before live action television. But that's a dumb concept. But here is the cliche line of dialogue for the week for TV. Here it is. Reach for the sky, your money or your life. That's so old hat. Another new Halloween, I know. So shame on me. It's just corny as hell. And I have also a new thing, the corny nostalgic joke of the week. Or I call it Dad's corny nostalgic joke of the week. And I say that lovingly. And I have a personal one that my dad always used to tell me and my sister when we were growing up. I'm going to save that one for the fellas because I want to see how they react to it. So never mind. I had that for tonight, but I'm going to save that. Now, as we conclude, I have a contest update. I'm giving away season 4 of Bewitched. I would normally have that on camera. I'll hold it up now. You probably can't see it for anyone watching on video on YouTube or Facebook Live. But I'm giving away season 4 of Bewitched on DVD. If you can still play DVD. As we said earlier, it's not supported by new produced MacBooks or laptops. They don't produce a tray to watch them. Hopefully you can still watch them on a DVD player or Blu-ray player. Blu-ray will play a DVD and up the quality of a DVD a little bit. But season 4 was a great season. I'm just going to play a clip of the opening credits of Bewitched. And literally, this is the end of the program. Finally, let me find that for you now. Hope you have a safe and happy Halloween with your family, with your kids, as I lose my voice here. All right, here's what I want to play. That was an awkward stall, obvious stall. This is the season 2. I know we're talking season 4 of Bewitched, but this is the season 2 original version of Bewitched. And I like this orchestration here. You don't see this in reruns anymore or on DVD. They only put the season 1 version of the theme for seasons 1 through... Well, hang on a second. Until the Dick York seasons. Season 1 through 5 of the Dick York seasons. And then they did put on the one they had to redo when Dick Sargent took over the role of Darren Stevens when the original actor Dick York became unreliable. He had back problems and he allegedly became hooked on pain medication. He died in 1992, sadly. He sustained a set injury on a war movie years before Bewitched. And he was calling in sick, and they had to do last-minute rewrites. And in that last season, the 5th season, which was the 1968 to 1969 television season, you noticed, he's in Mexico City, or, he's on business. He was always away. And supposedly, in between takes in the last seasons when he was on set, they had to prop him up, like on an ironing board. Anyway, I wasn't there. That's just what I read in my research. So let's listen to the season 2 opening theme of Bewitched, which has the original sound effects. And let's listen to this version of the theme. So they've spliced the season 1, which is a slower tempo version of the Bewitched theme, before all the season 1 through 5 DVD episodes are streaming or syndicated on Antenna TV or Pluto TV, wherever you can find Bewitched running these days, which I think is kind of lame, but they did that years ago. They colorized the first 2 seasons of Bewitched, which were shot in black and white, and they did a good job back in 2000, like 22, 23 years ago. They did a fantastic job with that, and I Dream of Jeannie season 1. They colorized that as well. It's not like the old Ted Turner 1986 colorized season 1 of Gilligan's Island, where it looks like it's a 3D, an old school 3D television presentation with like blues and reds, just basic colors. But season 4 is a strong season of Bewitched. There's a good Halloween, Thanksgiving episode, a Christmas episode, and Liz Montgomery sings in it not too well. She's very talented. She sings the Effin' song, which sounds like cleaned up for the F-bomb, right? Effin'. It's kind of funny in retrospect. Let me play a little bit of the effing song. I think I can play this for you. From season 4.
I know a little ditty recorded by the Belters on the flip side of America the Beautiful. It's called the Iffen Song.
Oh, Iffen. I thought it was effing. I'm wrong.
Iffen, you want to feel my embrace. Don't you ever wash your face. Iffen, you really care for me. Don't you comb your hair for me. Iffen, you want to leave me weak and weepy. You gotta look wild and weird and creepy. Iffen, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Really? Smattering of applause. And she was married to the original director, William Asher. That was, I think, her third husband. Gig Young before that, who supposedly had a big drinking problem. But man, Liz Montgomery had a great part in the season 2 premiere of The Untouchables. Oh, I don't want to give it away. I think it's called The Rusty Heller Story or something. God, it was a great performance. And everyone knows she was in The Twilight Zone season 3 with Charles Bronson, 2, where she played a Russian after World War III and nuclear holocaust, like the last people on Earth. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can play. Oh, this is a better performance of hers. Let me see if I can find it on the fly. I didn't have it pulled. Where she sings as Serena. Oh, no, I'm not going to play that. That's pretty corny. Excuse me. Quentin Tarantino performed that song on Saturday Night Live, but I digress. I'm not going to play that song. You're like, what the hell are you talking about? So if you want this set, all you have to do is comment in the Nostalgic PodBlast Facebook group, I want. The first person that types I want, as in I want the season 4 set, I'll mail it to your P.O. box, wherever you want me to mail it to. Not going to meet in person, I'll mail it to you. Let me find that song, though. It's not going to play it, but it's a famous song for the reason that it was performed on Saturday Night Live by Quentin Tarantino. Let me find that. Elizabeth Montgomery sings is the one with Chad and Jeremy. Hang on. Montgomery sings Bewitched. And she was on the Hollywood Palace. And Tom mentioned this, that here it is. I'll blow you a kiss in the wind. But Screen Gems owned the rights to the sound effects of the twitching nose. So when she was on Hollywood Palace, the nose twitching she did, which was a live, I think it was recorded live. It wasn't televised live, but it was a variety show in the 60s. And they had different sound effects. And we've played that before, I think way back on PodBlast 9, which is about Bewitched and I Drew a Genie. Yes, I remember that now. Let me just play a little bit. I'll blow you a kiss in the wind. Because this is, to give Liz Montgomery, God rest her soul, she died, I believe, in 1995 of cancer. And I liked her performance.
Where I say something.
It's called I'll Blow You a Kiss.
I think she did better singing this
Hello,
song.
guitar. A little atmosphere. And it wails like this. Wherever you are tonight, a feeling tells me that you look outside. So I'm gonna blow you a kiss in the wind. And when it reaches your lips, you're gonna smile and feel me oh so near. So I'm gonna blow you a kiss in the wind. I've been laying here in my bed.
The sexually suggestive lyrics here I'm talking over. You get it. I'm not going to play the rest. It's pretty much the whole song anyway. That's a bad quality clip I pulled on the fly. You could hear it like skipping. It was like from a Hallmark Channel recording. Anyway, it's funny how certain things are allowed on YouTube and other things aren't. That's obviously copyrighted, but Sony owns that too. We talked about things that Disney owns and Sony owns Bewitched and the entire Screen Gems library, if I'm not mistaken. In another contest, I'm giving away every episode ever made of Lost in Space, but it's on DVD. If you can still play DVD, and all you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Nostalgic PodBlast. Now we're going to conclude. Let me see here. Let me just do a little accompaniment. Oh, this will get botted for sure. I better stop. First person that subscribes to the YouTube channel, The Nostalgic PodBlast, will get all 83 episodes of Lost in Space, including the unaired version of the pilot. And you have to comment, subscribed. In any video, I'll get a notification. That's all you have to do, is subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Nostalgic PodBlast, and comment, and accordingly, and you'll get that set. And they're on DVD again, so only if you can play them or use them. Please only enter if you can actually watch them and enjoy them, and you're hip with non-HD. But these days, hell, that show is all over the place in high definition. So it's as we conclude the show for Halloween, we got some candy and chewing gum taglines. Shall we play a game? Remember that from War Games? That was a terrible impression, but since it's Halloween season, I'm going to name the tagline and you name the candy. Let's start. Let's see. I got 11 of them for you. Let's just start with this. This is an easy one. This is a simple one. This is stupid simple. Taste the rainbow. Skittles. Number 2. This is a little bit more difficult. Makes mouths happy. Makes mouths happy. That's Twizzlers. Tagline, isn't life juicy? In the old commercials, someone would eat this candy and they'd go flying in the air with a bunch of fruit about their heads, and fruit would go up into the heavens with them. That's Starburst. Number 4, if he kissed you once, will he kiss you again? Or they're two mints in one. Talked about them earlier, how they've been banned since 2018, which is a joke. Certs, the breath mint. Number 5. This is an easy one. Here's the tagline. Again, it's candy or gum. This is gum. That's a hint. Cleans your teeth while it cleans your breath. This is a more obvious hint. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend blank gum. Dentine. I guess the other dentist wants you to chew Big League Chew, so you get cavities and hire him to fix your face. By the way, x-rays, I've always been leery of dental x-rays. I know they give you lead shielding, right, for your heart and guts, but no protection for your brain and your head where they're zapping. What's up with that? Number 6, getting back to the game, and we're almost done with this edition of the Nostalgic PodBlast. Thanks for hanging with me. Anyone who made it all the way through, God bless you. I'm sick of myself. Oh, this is so easy. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a blank? Tootsie Pop. Number 7. This is a little bit harder one. This is very hard, very difficult. Do you eat the red ones last? They're not Red Hots. Smarties. Little knockoffs on Sweet Tarts. And no, I eat the red ones first when I eat those at all. They're just like pure sugar. I don't eat those much anymore. I mean, it's just, that's how you get diabetes. But number 8, put a blank blank in your mouth and get a bang out of life. I will give you a hint on this one too. I used to love the cherry flavored version of this, which you can only get on Amazon.com. Can't find them in stores. Occasionally you can at a drugstore. I'll just tell you, there was a line in the Eddie Murphy movie. Here's another hint. Man, why don't you eat I think it was in The Golden Child. I know it was The Golden Child. If you saw that movie where there's a thug in Eddie Murphy's character's face with horrible breath, and Eddie Murphy's like, man, why don't you eat a Tic Tac? Put a Tic Tac in your mouth and get a bang out of life. Remember the Tic Tac girl? Mark Harmon's sister, Kelly Harmon. She did the television ads for a while in the late 70s, early 80s. She was the Tic Tac girl. She was like the Susie Chapstick of candy Tic Tacs. Okay, number 9 out of 11. Here is the tagline for advertising. I love my blank and blank. What's that product name? Love my blank and blank. That's Good and Plenty, which I think would be a terrible Halloween candy. I asked earlier, what's your favorite Halloween candy and your least favorite? Good and Plenty. I never really liked that candy. Here's kind of an easy one, number 10 out of 11. Here's the tagline. The Fresh Maker. That's Mentos. That's a European-based candy. And here's the last one, last but not least. Tagline. This is difficult. Here's the tagline. Nobody's all one way. Nobody's all one way. That would be Sweet Tarts. Very, very difficult. I love the giant Sweet Tarts, the hard candy or the chewy ones. I mean, now I care about dentistry. When I was a kid, those are what gave me my cavities. I haven't had a cavity in years, thank the Lord. Knock on wood. And they came in cherry, lemon, and grape originally. Those were good when you were a kid. And shout out to Tangy Taffy and all the damage it did to my braces. The orthodontist said, don't eat taffy. Man, I did. I didn't listen to anybody. Let's see here. And if you're in England, braces are metal tracks an orthodontist puts in your teeth to straighten them. That's a little joke because they say people in England stereotypically have rotten teeth. I'm just kidding. That's terrible. Terrible. Anyway, I want to wish each and every one a great Halloween, season screamings, happy Harween, good night, and we're gonna end on this musical note. And if you're watching, I'm going to hold up some Halloween-themed items for the camera. I'm going to cut on the lights and blow out the candle in my jack-o'-lantern, which is a ceramic jack-o'-lantern that never rots, never goes bad. Had it for years. I love it. I really hope you all have a great time. And when I'm live on YouTube, I'm going to do this at a reasonable hour tomorrow. I'm going to do the whole show all over again and post it. And I'll remember to do my background music when I tell my dead body story. So let's sign off with this. And I'm going to cut on the lights and show some spooky stuff, some collectibles and things on camera. So head to the Nostalgic PodBlast YouTube channel if you like, or Facebook group. Peace out. Happy Halloween.